Bay. Master Vegeta. When Vegeta and his entourage appeared in the Temple of Heaven, Den tremblingly stepped forward and saluted, and Bobo who followed him also knelt on one knee. Vegeta was taken aback for a moment, and soon reacted. The fourth time and Space Whiz said that as long as the god behind him in the timeline, he knew about the gods of destruction. Although Dend is only the Earth god, his position is almost the bottom, but he can be regarded as a decent god. It is not surprising to know this. But the people on Earth who accompanied him didn't seem to know. Xiaofang looked curious and said, "God, why are you paying such a big gift to Vegeta?" After Vegeta signaled the exemption, Dend and Popo stood up straight. Dend glanced at Vegeta and saw that he had nothing to say, so he explained, because Lord Vegeta is now the gods of destruction, and the godship is higher than Lord Supreme Kai. The gods of destruction? The Earth and his party almost stared. Ah, it's after I left here. Didn't Supreme Kai say that people who don't have a god status will be wanted by the gods if they cultivate themselves into gods, so I figured out a way to get the gods. Vegeta smiled and didn't hide it. After all, everyone here knew about him becoming a god. Son Goten scratched his head and said, "Is it so easy to become a god?" "You are really stupid, Uncle Goten." Xiaofang vomited. "This is because Vegeta is so easy. It's so simple to change to someone else. You can see that the gods are the gods of the earth, no matter which god comes over. He must salute." When Dend was said by her, her face couldn't help turning into a joke. Son Goten was also a little embarrassed. "Xiaofang, I am also your uncle anyway, so many people are here, can you save me some face?" Cut. Xiaofang turned her head away, with an arrogant expression on her face. Everyone suddenly laughed. After Azer's crisis was resolved, everyone else was okay, so everyone relaxed. Only Vegeta's face was full of unhappy expressions. He thought he had become the #1 powerhouse in the universe. As a result, Son Gohan broke out with such a strong potential and turned into Super Saiyan 5. Now Vegeta is also back, and he is all of a sudden. I became the third child, so it's strange to feel comfortable in my heart. Taking advantage of this moment, Dend helped Son Gohan and Ueb heal their injuries and restore their physical strength. "Xiaofang." Son Gohan yelled immediately when he woke up. "Dad, I'm fine, everyone is fine." Xiaofang burst into tears and ran over and threw herself in Son Gohan's arms. After some comfort, Son Gohan and Ueb also understood the whole story and expressed their extremely grateful thanks to Vegeta. Vegeta also explained his method of saving Xiaofang. In fact, the process is not difficult to understand. Vegeta was hidden in time and space, and people in the universe could not see him naturally. Taking advantage of the Gotenks' attention shifting, Xiaofang was stolen away, and Xiaofang's ability to reverse time was used on Xiaofang, and Xiaofang was restored to the state before his death. Everyone couldn't help but marvel at the ability that Vegeta showed. Vegeta is still Vegeta, and his strength is too strong for them to understand. It's no wonder that he can become a more advanced gods of destruction than Supreme Kai. But having said that, I wanted to ask a long time ago, who is this beautiful sister? Xiaofang looked at Laguz and asked. In fact, she had been paying attention to Laguz from the beginning. After all, she was the beautiful girl next to Vegeta, and she would definitely care. It's just that the timing has never been right, and there is no good understanding. Now that the dust has settled, Xiaofang can't help but ask. "Hello everyone, I am Laguz." Laguz waved to everyone, with a slight smile on his face. She knew that these people were all friends of Vegeta, so she wouldn't lose face. Vegeta smiled and said, "Laguz is my new entourage, and she is stronger than Azer." What? Everyone showed a surprised look. Such a charming little girl is actually stronger than Azer. I can't tell from the outside. Vegeta darkened even more, snorted coldly, turned his head and walked in the direction of the temple. "Uncle Vegeta, where are you going?" Son Gohan yelled subconsciously. "Hey. You guys one by one. When you are fine, you always have a happy and relaxed face. I really can't stand it anymore. I'm going to the spiritual time house to practice. If I don't practice Super Saiyan 5, I won't come out." Vegeta, his face was full of angry expressions. Why? He usually immerses himself in cultivating assiduously, and basically doesn't do anything except cultivating every day. And what about people like Son Gohan? All day long, he is happy and does not do business. The practice is also 3 days of fishing and 2 days of surfing the net. As a result, his strength is always surpassed by others. Vegeta can't accept this kind of thing. Vegeta is still such a glass heart. Vegeta sighed. "When I first saw you, I thought you were older and more stable. I didn't expect to be so arrogant. However, you know how to change. Do you become Super Saiyan 5? Even if you go to the spiritual time house, are you sure you can succeed by practicing alone?" Vegeta stalled and couldn't get out. Because he really doesn't know. Where else would he be one step ahead of Son Gohan? Damn it. Vegeta cursed secretly, and walked back again, looking at Vegeta, with a shame on his face. If you know, can you please teach me? Although his face was embarrassed, his tone of voice still seemed more polite, just a little reluctant. To put it simply, it was arrogant. Vegeta couldn't help but confided in his heart, but he spread his hands together and said, to be honest, I don't know. I came back to this time and space just to learn how to transform Super Saiyan 5. I just saw Gohan's transformation just now. I really can't understand the process. I can't kill the most important person in my heart again, and try to see if the anger beyond the limit can make him transformed successfully, right? Vegeta's expression froze. I didn't expect that even Vegeta didn't know. Is the Super 5 transformation method really so difficult? Everyone looked at Son Gohan, because he was the only one who succeeded in transforming. Son Gohan embarrassed. When I saw Xiaofang die in front of my eyes, my emotions were completely filled with anger, and I couldn't think of much else at all. You don't have to count on Gohan. Vegeta curled his lips and said, he has a lot more potential than Goku, and he has never been able to develop it perfectly. You count on someone who can't even transform himself into Super 4 and understands what Super 5 is. Does it look like? Even if Son Gohan could describe the situation at the time, Vegeta didn't believe that that was the trick to becoming a Super 5. The despised Son Gohan is even more embarrassed, but this is the case. Even now, he can't even transform into Super 4, let alone Super 5. Damn it, is this just an accident? Even Vegeta doesn't know the reason. Vegeta couldn't accept this a little bit. Dad, it's okay, you are already very good. I am also very happy to see you so angry for me. Xiaofang comforted Son Gohan. Son Gohan was actually embarrassed, but he didn't have a deep attachment to strength. But when something like this happened, he couldn't help but ask Dend. Dend, is the 7 Dragon Balls still unusable? After the evil dragon incident that year, Son Gohan walked with Shenron, and the 7 Dragon Ball remained unusable after that. If Dragon Ball can be used, maybe Son Goku can also come back, and people on the earth can feel more at ease. Son Goku has such a charm, as long as he is there, there seems to be nothing that cannot be solved. 7 Dragon Ball? Dend was stunned for a moment and squeaked. It's now, Dragon Ball. Hey. Son Gohan. At this time, a sudden voice interrupted Dend's words. Ah? Is this voice Lord Supreme Kai's ancestor? Son Gohan immediately reacted. Cough. Vegeta coughed dryly beside him. Huh. Soon, God Jebet brought the old Supreme Kai to the Temple of Heaven. See Master Vegeta. The two knelt on one knee, but the old Supreme Kai looked a little reluctant. Get up. Vegeta chuckled secretly. The identity of gods of destruction in time is still very useful. The elder Supreme Kai complained. Really, my old man has already abdicated to be virtuous, and he has to let me take the trouble to run this trip. Vegeta glanced at him, and Shiran said, I remember when I came last time, someone seemed to say that I was wanted by all the redundant staff. Oh, who on earth did it? I wondered for a while. Woke up. It is an honor for everyone in this spacetime to come to this spacetime, Master Vegeta. Before you arrive, you should say in advance, and we can also prepare first and come together to welcome you. The old Supreme Kai immediately took the exercises. Lost it. Joke. At first, it was just annoying Beerus, and he was sealed in Z's caliber for 75 million years. Now if the more powerful existence of gods of destruction is made angry, without a symbiotic relationship, who knows if Vegeta will destroy him directly. God Jebet also touched a cold sweat next to him, and said in embarrassment, Master Vegeta, don't make a joke with us, this joke is not funny at all. Haha. The others were amused by these two guys. Okay. Let's get back to business, old Supreme Kai. What did you want to say to Gohan just now? Vegeta didn't hold on to it anymore. In fact, he is quite curious about the 7 Dragon Balls in this time and space. When I first watched Dragon Ball GT, I couldn't understand why Son Goku was taken away by Shenron. Now the old Supreme Kai seems to know the truth. The old Supreme Kai let out a dry cough, his face is as thick as the planet, and he is not embarrassed at all, and soon he pretends to put on the music again. About the Dragon Ball, in general, it is not possible to use 7 Dragon Balls. First of all, the story needs to go back to 3 years ago. When he was fighting Super Omega Shenron, Son Goku was actually on the verge of death, just before using Spirit Bomb. With his state at the time, he couldn't use Spirit Bomb at all. It was Shenron who heard his heart and lent him the strength to absorb vitality, which completed the final reversal. But this is also a deal. The emergence of the evil dragon was caused by the misuse of the Dragon Ball by the people on Earth. In the end, this responsibility was provoked by Son Goku. So after defeating the evil dragon, he used the positive energy of his body to seal the negative energy of the Dragon Ball. In other words, Son Goku is now fighting alone in order to prevent the negative energy from being released again. No. Impossible. Father became a scapegoat for us. Son Gohan couldn't accept it. The old Supreme Kai said, if you resurrect the Dragon Ball now, you will release an evil dragon with more power than Omega Shenron. You still don't have the ability to defeat the evil dragon. But, the current Gohan brother should be able to win. Trunks thought of the Super Saiyan 5 before Gohan, but he reacted as soon as he finished speaking. I've already talked about this topic before, now let alone Super 5, it's Super 4, Son Gohan can't transform freely either, it's completely relying on the Burr's light emitter. The old Supreme Kai said, it is true that Gohan of Super Saiyan 5 will fight against it. Maybe it is possible. But if you transform into Super Saiyan 5 again, there should be no way. Old Supreme Kai knows the reason. Vegeta glanced at him. He has studied it carefully, only to see that Son Gohan is in extreme anger, but he has tried this method, and he has not been able to transform successfully. This time Gohan can become Super Saiyan 5 is purely accidental. The old Supreme Kai really knew the reason, and he did not hide it. He directly said, only when he is extremely excited, hated, and full of killing intent, can he transform into Super Saiyan 5. Now Xiaofeng is still alive. I don't think he can use it at the time. A feeling of excited, hatred, full of killing intent? Vegeta was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that amidst his extreme anger, there would still be so many emotions hidden. He hadn't thought of it before. However, the combination of several emotions, even if you know it, is not so easy to control. Vegeta closed his eyes and realized that his own personality is actually quite stable and will not easily fluctuate too much. So it's really hard to grasp the negative emotions like hatred and killing intent. Fortunately, he has the memory of Son Goku and Vegeta. The positive emotions are just searching for Son Goku, and the negative emotions are for Vegeta, and then copy and paste them to blend into his emotions. Boom. Suddenly, an extremely huge breath erupted from Vegeta, and almost everyone in the temple was swept away. Fortunately, Laguz reacted quickly and immediately condensed a glass wall. God Jibet also used instant transmission to bring everyone back. Otherwise, I am afraid that someone will lose their footing and fall from the Temple of Heaven. Fortunately, other people said that here is Bulma, an ordinary person who is incompetent, and he would die if he fell. What's the matter? Everyone was shocked. The old Supreme Kai looked horrified. Master Vegeta, is this going to become Super Saiyan 5? What? Crackling. The electric flowers flickered continuously, and the huge energy burst was compressed in a very small area without spreading. Immediately afterwards, a dazzling light rose into the sky. Super 5 Vegeta, debut. Okay, so awesome. Everyone looked at Super 5 Vegeta nerdly, and they were still saying that Super 5 was not so easy to transform successfully, but in the blink of an eye, before finishing speaking, Vegeta suddenly turned into shape. This is simply, a sentence of MMP reached the throat, but stuck there and couldn't spit it out. So handsome. Xiaofeng's eyes flashed into a peachy heart. Sure enough, Vegeta is the most handsome. Son Gohan still needs to be stimulated by the death of his daughter. Vegeta just listened to the description, and he was able to transform himself successfully. Wow, Master Vegeta is too good, Blah also screamed. Yes. Laguz nodded, her eyes obsessed. A group of unresistible girls. The middle-aged Bulma shook her hair and let out a sigh. After looking at Vegeta, he couldn't help but whispered. But then again, Vegeta is really attractive. She didn't know where she thought of going, there was a red cloud on her face. However, no one cared about the reactions of the women, because Vegeta and Son Gohan were also surprised at this time from ear to ear. Son Gohan said, just kidding, Master Vegeta can be transformed from the beginning, right? The old Supreme Kai shook his head and said, it looks like it should be the first time to transform successfully, otherwise the breath reaction will not be so strong. Yes. Son Gohan scratched his head. The first time you transform, you are not proficient in energy control, and you can't fully converge in it, so it will cause a lot of movement. But as long as you get used to that kind of transformation, you can make a transformation later, it's basically a matter of blinking an eye. This is Super 5. Super 5 Baget clenched his fists, a fascinating smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. All of a sudden, Xiaofeng, Bra and Legusi couldn't help screaming, they were just a group of little fans. Call. Soon, Vegeta returned to normal again and did not maintain the Super Saiyan 5 form. At this time, the energy control is not perfect, just look back and consolidate it. There is still something to say here, and of course you can't interfere with them. Wow. Veget, you are so handsome. Xiaofang threw into Veget's arms excitedly, looking more excited than seeing Super 5 Son Gohan. Son Gohan couldn't help but smile awkwardly beside him. Could it be that the legendary female college did not stay in? Okay. Although it was a bit bitter in my heart, Son Gohan didn't stop it. It's a good thing to have a good relationship with Veget. Cough. The old Supreme Kai stood up again and said to Son Gohan and others, "Don't be too happy, Vegeta is powerful, this is something everyone knows. But, I want to deal with the evil dragon, only by our own strength, Master Veget will not help us." Everyone looked puzzled. Vegeta is so strong, in fact, even if he can't transform into a Super 5, he is much better than Super 5 Son Gohan. After all, before he became a god, he already had the ability to surpass the 4 Vegeta. Gohan doesn't think he can surpass the Super 4 Vegeta by transforming himself into a Super 5. With Vegeta's current power, he can kill the evil dragon at will if he wants to. Master Veget is the gods of destruction of time, dealing with the evil people who disturb time and space. But the birth of the evil dragon originated from the abuse of Dragon Ball by the Earth people. This is your own responsibility, so the gods of destruction of time cannot interfere. The old Supreme Kai said so, but it actually meant to remind Veget. Hearing these words, everyone basically understood, and their faces suddenly became serious again. After knowing the truth about 7 Dragon Ball, they all wanted to rescue Son Goku as soon as possible. But before that, they must defeat an evil dragon that is stronger than Super Omega Shenron. This is not so easy to do. Who said I can't help? Veget rolled his eyes and said, "Although I can't help you destroy the evil dragon, nor can I help you deal with negative energy, I only teach you what to do." Huh. The eyes of Son Gohan and others brightened up instantly, and Vegeta's eyes also shined brightly. That's also true, not to mention that Vegeta has understood the Super 5 transformation method, even if not, he can guide them how to become stronger. They all know that Vegeta is above Super 4, and there is a transformation in the realm of God. Old ancestor, do you have something to say? The words of God Jebet diverted everyone's attention to the old Supreme Kai. In fact, what the old Supreme Kai said before was all foreshadowing. It was just that before he could say the most important thing, he was preempted by Veget, so he almost choked to death by his own saliva. The old Supreme Kai gasped for a while before pretending to say, "Actually, I have an idea, Gohan, Vegeta, if you let me train for you, I am sure that you can successfully transform into Super Saiyan 5. Can old Supreme Kai do this?" Son Gohan looked surprised. He looked at the old Supreme Kai and then at Vegeta, looking a little embarrassed. Selfishly speaking, he felt that it would be better to practice with Vegeta. After all, they were all Saiyan, who knew better about Saiyan's abilities. But the old Supreme Kai knows more things. Didn't you see Vegeta because of his guidance? Did he understand the secret of Super 5 transformation? Moreover, the old Supreme Kai has already taken the initiative to request it. With Son Gohan's character, it is difficult to refuse directly. "Hey," Vegeta said with a proud face. "I don't care. Anyone can teach me as long as I can master the Super Saiyan 5 transformation methods." All he wants to learn is the method of transformation. As for the improvement of strength, he has his own method of cultivation. Veget waved his hand and said, "Since the old Supreme Kai is willing to contribute, you should follow him to practice." "Ah. Yes." Son Gohan immediately responded, without thinking too much. The old Supreme Kai hummed. "This is definitely the wisest choice." "Do you want to be destroyed?" Veget squinted at him. Ahem. The old Supreme Kai was taken aback, and immediately changed the subject. "Actually, I really want to restore the 7 Dragon Balls on Earth. If the situation becomes uncontrollable, no one can stop it. Moreover, let Goku is carrying all this alone, I don't think it is a long-term solution. So, this time is a test for all the people on Earth. This time, this trial will be overcome with power beyond yours. Then, both Dragon Ball and Goku will be resurrected, so that true peace can be achieved." After a lot of impassion, everyone was really distracted, and one by one determined to do a big job. "Is the Purification 7 Dragon Ball? Interesting." The corner of Veget's mouth rose slightly. Back then, the Super 4 Vegeta already had a combat power close to 10 Jing. If you rescue Son Goku and then merge into Super 5 Vegeta, what level of strength can you achieve? Quite looking forward to it. Gohan and Vegeta followed the old Supreme Kai to the Supreme Kai world to practice, but what they didn't expect was that they slapped their chests in front of Vegeta, and an old Supreme Kai with an expression of Jiju holding his face came to the Supreme Kai world, but changed his mind. "Here I will explain the content of practice." The elder Supreme Kai said, "First of all, Gohan needs to train the tail to better master the transformation method of Super Saiyan IV. And Vegeta, you have to practice emotional control from now on. Emotional control. Vegeta didn't understand it very well, thinking it was just a simple control of emotions. That's not the case. Old Supreme Kai explained. From now on, I will cast a spell on you. If I can solve this spell by myself, then the practice will be considered successful. By the way, I can only target one person at a time with this spell. So first cast this spell on Vegeta, and then Gohan. I think being transformed into Super Saiyan 5 may be due to serious killing intent and angry emotions. It was just a guess before, but it has been confirmed by Vegeta. So, if you can control your emotions, you should be able to transform into Super Saiyan for 5. The technique I'm using right now is honestly quite dangerous, because it's possible to die at any time, so you have to be conscious of it. Huh. Can't ask for it. Vegeta wouldn't hold back because of it. However, at this time, the old Supreme Kai changed his conversation and said, and I have to tell you another important thing. Even if you can solve this technique, there is no guarantee that you will be transformed into Super Saiyan 5. Huh? Isn't that meaningless? Son Gohan was shocked. Old Supreme Kai said, well, I think this is just to improve the possibility of transformation, so I was not so sure at the beginning. But, please try to believe me, as long as you strengthen your consciousness, you will be able to unlock this technique. Also, I believe in the miracles of the two of you. Hey. If we knew this, why didn't we follow Vegeta to practice from the beginning? Vegeta felt that he had been deceived, and his face was immediately upset. A trace of embarrassment flashed across the old Supreme Kai's face. He would tell Vegeta that he didn't want to lose face in front of Vegeta, so he bit the bullet? However, the old Supreme Kai, whose face is as thick as the planet, did not show the slightest expression on his face. Instead, he said passionately, Master Vegeta is not a person of our time and space after all, and he is the gods of destruction of time, who interferes too much in our time and space. It's never a good thing. I said before. This trial is a test for all the people on Earth. If you can survive safely by your own strength, this is the best choice. After you rescue Goku, he will also more gratifying. Regardless of whether they can accept the reason of the old Supreme Kai, since things have reached this point, they have come, can they just turn their heads and leave? And when he heard the name of Son Goku, Vegeta couldn't help it, gritted his teeth and urged, hurry up, don't be too long. Okay. Old Supreme Kai told God Jebet. Next, you will help Gohan pull out the tail. Ah. Yes. Old ancestor. God Jebet has seen how Son Goku and Vegeta cultivated their tails. There is almost no technical difficulty, and they should be accepted. Then, the old Supreme Kai called Vegeta to one side of the open space, and the two sides stood facing each other at a distance. Awakening God's electric wave. The old Supreme Kai spread his hands, and a burst of blazing white light suddenly rose up to the center of Vegeta's eyebrows. At the same time, Vegeta's face instantly turned ugly. Ha ha ha, I'm really angry this time. Vegeta held her face in pain for a while and yelled, then laughed to the sky again, and then became extremely angry again. What the hell is going on? Son Gohan, who hadn't started pulling his tail, was startled looking in the distance. God Jebet thought for a long time before he remembered, with a cold sweat on his face. I have heard Master Supreme Kai say before that different Supreme Kai have different abilities. Fighting type, various special abilities. Supreme Kai, who has past biological emotions. I don't know the name of this technique. It can make the other person's emotions, including happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy fall into chaos, and make them fall into hallucinations. It is a technique that can make people confused. However, this technique is quite dangerous. It will cause serious damage to the opponent's brain, and it will also cause damage to the operator's brain. I am also Supreme Kai. If this ability is awakened, I will never use it. Son Gohan looked scared and said, is this technique really so dangerous? What does the old Supreme Kai Master use this technique for? God Jebet was taken aback for a moment, and quickly reacted, saying, so that's it. I know. What the ancestor considers is that he hopes that you can solve this technique with your own strength, hoping to transcend the limit to elicit your emotions. The ancestor said that the transformation method of Super Saiyan 5 is to have emotions beyond the limit. If this technique is relieved, I think I should be able to freely elicit emotions beyond the limit. That's it. Son Gohan suddenly came over. So the old Supreme Kai said that he wants to practice emotional control. Then he said with a firm face, I can't be absent-minded all the time. I have to become Super Saiyan IV as soon as possible. Supreme Kai, please. No problem. Leave it to me. God Jebet naturally hopes to help. As a result, the Supreme Kai world soon heard Son Gohan's heart-piercing howl, and Vegeta's sometimes yelling, sometimes frantically laughing. However, While they were undergoing painful practice, a banquet was being held on the earth. In the western capital of Bulma's home, the spacious courtyard has long been set up as a banquet scene. There are all kinds of food, snacks, and beverages. As long as it is the food on the earth, you can almost find it here. It's not that they feel that if they leave everything to Gohan and Vegeta, they can feel at ease. But Baguette said that before practicing, you need to relax, let your tight mind relax, and adjust your mentality before entering the state of cultivation. This will have a much better effect. Otherwise, after hearing the truth about the 7 Dragon Balls, they suffocated one by one. Maybe they could sprint at the beginning, but it was not good for long-term development. After all, it was Vegeta who said it, and everyone regarded it as the truth. As for the wasted time, it can be made up for through the mental timehouse. Well, it's so delicious, I've never had such a delicious food. Laguz opened her bow with her left and right hands, her mouth was full, and she didn't even care about the image of a lady. The universe people who have eaten the food of the earth for the first time will basically fall in love with the food here, even Angel is no exception, not to mention the Legusi from the devil world where resources are extremely scarce. But at this time Vegeta didn't have the time to appreciate the cute look of Laguz, because he was surrounded by 2 little girls, Xiaofang and Bra. While they took the initiative to feed Vegeta, they pestered him to tell interesting stories in all time and space. Oh no, it's not just the 2 of them. The focus of almost all the women present was on Vegeta. In addition to these 2 little girls who have just reached the limit of adulthood, Bulma also sent a plate of delicious food from time to time, and listened to these different time and space stories by the way. When she learned that there were 2 time-space Bulma who were both Vegeta's wives, she felt a strange feeling in her heart. Although she is different in time and space, but has similar experiences, she cannot be said to be the same, but in the end it is still a set. Don't talk about Bulma, even when Vegeta faced her, she was a little strange. However, because the Dragon Ball world is a lot of time and space, this kind of thing must be faced, and Vegeta has been mentally prepared for a long time, but he has not shown any impoliteness. In addition, Chi-Chi and Vital also rushed over after learning the news. Chi-Chi is a standard ordinary woman. At this time, she is old and yellow, and her mentality is more Buddhist. Apart from some worries about Goku and Gohan, she has no other manifestations, and Vegeta naturally did not pay much attention. Vital is very grateful to Vegeta for saving Xiaofang's life. And she is still young, and she is also very interested in the story about Vegeta. But when he saw Vital, Vegeta suddenly remembered something. He always felt that he was missing a very important and key person in his own time and space, but he never remembered it, and then suddenly reacted. The one missing is Vital. Calculated according to the timeline, Vital in his own time and space should be married to Son Gohan, and is almost pregnant with Xiaofang. But no. Son Gohan is still unmarried and has never mentioned Vital. The 2 seem to have never been together. If only this is the case, Vegeta would not care too much. After all, on the 18th, he did not marry Klin, and it is normal for the plot to shift a bit. But the problem is that since Son Gohan is not married, there is no unborn Xiaofang. If there are 2 clones on the earth, there were only 5 Saiyans back then. Son Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., Son Gohan, Son Goten, Trunks. So the question is, how did he return to his time and space and see the Super Game God Goku? How did he become successful? Rao was as wise as Vegeta, and was a little confused at this time. He was sure that he had never seen the 6th Saiyan on the cruise ship of Bulma. It seems that this matter seems to have another story, so I have to ask about it later. Although it is not a big deal, it is an unsolved mystery after all. In addition to these people, all the Earth Warriors who had shown their aging attitude were also invited over. Take this opportunity to gather together, and by the way, explain about Son Goku and 7 Dragon Ball. The other people, Vegeta, had no interest, but the 18th also appeared, because it was a human being, and she was still beautiful and beautiful. Standing with Klin, a short man with gray hair, was really not a good match. However, the 18th was relatively cold, and he only glanced at Vegeta with a curious look, and then he didn't pay attention. It was their daughter Marlin, who was ashamed and embarrassed, and kept eavesdropping in the distance. Speaking of the next battle, you certainly can't imagine that kind of scene. They used the seeds of the universe to absorb the original power of the 12 universes, and almost all of the 12 universes collapsed, and in the end only our 7th universe was left. Especially the original power of the 7th universe has been absorbed in the final. Who has been fused with the universe seed, is so powerful that he is unimaginable, but he is clamoring to pull Zeno down. Of course, in the end, he was definitely not my opponent. He was easily defeated by me. As for the destroyed universe, I didn't care about it. That's not my job. I think they should use Super Dragon Ball to repair it. Vegeta just described it casually, with an exaggerated tone that sounded like bragging. However, Xiaofang and others didn't have any doubts, and they were full of admiration for Vegeta, who could easily solve that level of has. Wow. Vegeta, you're so amazing. Xiaofang couldn't find any other words to praise Vegeta, only this sentence came and went. Bra was sweeter than her, and he agreed. Yeah, much better than my dad. He keeps saying that he is the best in universe. I think he is not like that at all, but he is still a shellfish. A handsome guy like Kid is the strongest. Bulma, who had just handed over a plate of snacks, chuckled. If you let Vegeta hear these words, I'm afraid he will be sad for a while. The Vegeta in this time and space is a daughter-in-law, and he cares very much about Bla's opinion of him. Once I grew a beard with great difficulty. I was still smug and narcissistic, but Bla said that he was ugly, and he immediately shaved it off. If he heard Bla say that he was too weak, I'm afraid he would really be decadent for a while. Bra spit out her pink tongue and said with a mischievous face, I'm just telling the truth. If he really can't stand the blow, wouldn't it be more proof that what I said is right? How can there be the best in the universe, who is followed by others? I can't stand it if I just say a word. You. Bulma nodded her head involuntarily, having nothing to do with her own daughter who had escaped. Xiaofang didn't care about them. She shook Vegeta's arm and said coquettishly, keep on talking. What on earth is that dark demon world like? And you didn't say anything. Such a powerful person is sure wouldn't it be a sentence or two that can be said? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Vegeta had eaten almost at this time, patted his belly and said, eat and drink enough, it's time to think about cultivation. If you are interested in those topics, you can find Laguz, she knows better than me. Although there is a little girl with me, which makes Vegeta enjoy it, the business still cannot be forgotten. He has successfully become the Super Saiyan 5, so next, he should study the Super 5 God realm. At this time, he can also give some pointers to other people, like Son Goten and Trunks. Someone accompanies the cultivation, and it is not boring and boring alone. Temple of Heaven, House of Spirit and Time. Vegeta looked helplessly at the two little Lori around him, Xiaofang and Bra. He was really speechless. He had already explained that he wanted to cultivate, but they still entangled him. It is said that since Vegeta wants to point out Goten and Trunks, then he also points out their practice by the way. After all, they are also Saiyan and want to contribute to the earth. Well, this reason is very reasonable, and it is completely irrefutable. Today, a total of 7 people came in the spiritual time house: Vegeta, Xiaofang, Bra, Laguz, Son Goten, Trunks and Ueb. In the original setting, the spiritual time house can only enter 2 at a time, and it can only last for 2 years at most. Beyond this limit, the exit will disappear. However, this setting is completely useless for Vegeta and others. They don't have to go out of the entrance at all, they can break the dimensional barrier and get out from here by themselves. Vegeta has tried it. This dimensional barrier can easily be broken with a combat power of more than 300 billion. Goten, Trunks. Vegeta said to the 2 people first, with your current strength, you can transform into Super Saiyan E long ago, but you haven't practiced seriously. So, I want you to control energy. The cultivation of Super Saiyan E completed the transformation of Super Saiyan E in a short period of time. Huh. Yes. Son Goten and Trunks bowed their heads. This is a boring process of penance. Then, Vegeta looked at Ueb next to him and said, Ueb, I have roughly understood your situation. Although you were born with Buu reincarnated and possess powerful powers, your control of these powers is not perfect. And Son Goku is not a good teacher. He only trains you to have an opponent, and the whole process is to help. Although you and Mr. Buu later merged and complemented each other to make up for some shortcomings, there were still big flaws when you exerted your strength. Therefore, you should pay more attention to the energy control practice than Goten and Trunks. Ueb respectfully saluted. I see, thank you for your guidance, Master Vegeta. Laguz, you come and point them. Vegeta looked at Laguz beside him again. Laguz's combat effectiveness has reached a level close to 2 Jing, and the foundation is very solid, and the strength is also quite perfect. They are definitely more than enough to point Trunks. Okay, Master Vegeta. Laguz responded and said to the 3 Trunks, you can attack with all your strength, let me take a look at your level first. Although they all showed their power when fighting Azer before, they were not the protagonists at the time. And being suppressed by Azer was too strong, and he didn't fully exert his strength. Laguz wanted to see their realm clearly, so she could only use the same amount of power to let them give full play. Huh? Miss Laguz wants to deal with the 3 of us alone? Trunks froze for a moment, looking a little hesitant. Ueb also hesitated. That's not good, isn't it? Vegeta did say that Laguz was stronger than Azer. However, looking at Laguz's appearance, not bigger than Xiaofang and Bra, and her appearance more petite and lovely, they really couldn't believe that there was such a powerful and unparalleled power in this body. It's okay, You just attacked with all your strength, don't worry about me. Laguz didn't explain, but repeated it. Okay. Then you be careful. Trunks took the lead to enter the Super One state and rushed directly towards Legoshi. When Son Goten and Uub saw this, the former also entered a Super One state, and the latter broke out in a Super mode, which is the power gained after joining with Fat Buu. But they didn't really attack with all their strength, but let the Trunks attack first, and they took the opportunity to move. If Laguz is really strong, they will definitely join forces. The result of course did not disappoint them. Laguz just stood on the spot, waving his hands alone, and flowers of glass appeared on the path of Trunks. What? This is? Trunks was taken aback and punched, and the glass flower shattered, but the next one appeared in front of him again, and even attacked him actively. Those glass flowers contained a powerful energy aura, and they carried a sharp air blade, almost like a blade. Not only that, but Son Goten and Super Uib are also included. Around the three of them, flowers of glass continued to condense, forcing them to experience this method for the first time in a rush. Fortunately, Laguz just reminded them to be serious, so he didn't press too hard. After the three began to adapt, they gradually increased their attack. Sister Legoshi is amazing. Xiaofang and Beulah were dumbfounded. It turns out that Laguz was really so strong, and they all thought that Vegeta was exaggerating. Baguette. Let's start too. Yes, we want to become stronger too. Both Xiaofang and Blah looked at Vegeta with beautiful eyes, their faces full of expectation. They are not looking forward to becoming stronger, but looking forward to practicing with Vegeta and then becoming stronger. Alright, Vegeta sighed secretly, and could only help the two girls in their practice first. As Laguz said, attack with all your strength, don't worry about me. Vegeta or Shishiren stood there. Hee. Xiaofang and Blah looked at each other, both with snickers on their faces. Boom. The golden flames erupted, and the two of them went into a Super One state one after another. This made Vegeta stunned for a while, and then exclaimed, "You can transform yourself?" Hee, we practiced together. Xiaofang and Beulah replied in unison. It's kind of interesting. Okay, just attack it. The corner of Vegeta's mouth rose slightly. The female Super Saiyan, who has never appeared in official history, looks quite good. Then we're welcome. Xiaofang took the initiative and charged directly from the front. I'm here too. Blah followed. However, her movements were much clumsy compared to Xiaofang, and she obviously hadn't experienced much battle. Faced with the attack of the two chicks, Vegeta certainly wouldn't be serious. He simply dodged and counterattacked with similar strength. Although they are all in a Super One state, Xiaofang's combat effectiveness is definitely much stronger than Bra. After transforming, Xiaofang's combat strength is 150 million, which is equivalent to Son Goku, who has just completed a super transform. As for Beulah, the combat strength of Super One is only 80 million, not even 100 million, and she doesn't know how to cultivate Super One. But Vegeta can also understand that after all, the latter is the daughter of the Bulma family. She has been habitually raised since she was a child. If she can practice Super One, she must have suffered a lot, and she really can't ask for too much. Oh, Xiaofang's strength is not bad. After a few simple parry, Vegeta was still quite surprised by Xiaofang's combat effectiveness. Hee, of course, I have always practiced. Xiaofang smiled triumphantly. Hearing this, Bra was unhappy, and said unhappy. I will definitely practice well in the future. Well, as long as you are willing, I will definitely help you practice. Baguette was a little helpless. Although she is a lot more mature than before, she is still a little girl. However, compared to cultivating with Son Goten and Trunks, the two little girls really love them more. It's just a bit difficult for Laguz. Thinking of this, Vegeta couldn't help but look at another battlefield in the distance, and then couldn't help but enjoy himself. Legoshi used glass to condense a swing frame at this time, swaying leisurely. Not far in front of her are Son Goten, Trunks, and Uib surrounded by flowers of glass. Although the three of them were not weak in strength, they also broke out with all their strength, but they couldn't even break through the encirclement of those glass flowers. They looked very embarrassed, and formed a clear contrast with the laid-back Laguz. But Laguz also remembered Vegeta's words, so he always used his own attacks to guide the Trunks three people so that they could avoid or block the attack as long as they used the right power. However, once it is used incorrectly, it will be relentlessly attacked. Although the intensity of these attacks is not very high, if you continue to be attacked, I am afraid that it will take a long time to be covered with scars. Of course, it doesn't matter. Vegeta has left several hundred fairy beans for Laguz long ago. As long as they don't kill anyone, they can be rectified. However, on the side of Vegeta himself, facing two beautiful girls who are in the blooming season, he can't do rough treatment. Okay, stop now. Vegeta simply defuses the second woman's attack and stretches a distance. Although only a few rounds have passed, Xiaofang and Beulah are already sweating and breathing heavily. They are indeed doing their best. Moreover, the air in the spiritual timehouse is thin, and the gravity is 10 times that of the Earth. Even if their strength is not weak, the consumption is huge. Compared with ordinary people, your strength is indeed very powerful, and as a daughter, it is quite difficult to achieve this step. Vegeta simply praised a few words, and then said, but it can be seen that no one should have taught you before. Your cultivation is based on your own exploration, right? Ah, you can see this? Xiaofang covered her mouth with surprise. Bra exclaimed, as expected of Vegeta, it's so easy to find out. Isn't this obvious? Vegeta smiled helplessly, and then said, after all, they are all girls. They shouldn't want you to fight and kill. They didn't teach you to cultivate. The result is that your foundation is not very good. If you want to become stronger in the future, you need to rebuild the foundation. Then what are we going to do? Xiaofang asked immediately. Vegeta glanced at the two women and said, this kind of practice is very hard for you. So I still have to confirm again before this, do you really want to become stronger? In fact, even if you are not strong, you can also live happily because of the strength of yours. There is really no need to make yourself so hard. Beulah did hesitate for a moment. She was not a person who likes to practice or fight. She could become Super Saiyan, or Xiaofang must take her to death, and she turned into a success by accident. The strength she has now is more genetically inherited, and she has not practiced much. However, Xiaofang replied without thinking, of course I am sincere. I like adventure and excitement, so I must have strong power to go wherever I want to go. The most important thing is. When she said this, she suddenly paused, blushing and shyly said, only by becoming stronger can I get closer to Vegeta. I really hope Vegeta can take me on a time travel. As long as I become stronger, you will definitely agree, right? Baguette was taken aback for a moment, and nodded with a wry smile. As long as your parents don't object, I don't care, but if you travel through time and space, it's not that easy to come back. Have you figured it out? Of course. I will try my best to convince mom and dad, and I think they will definitely agree. Seeing that Vegeta had no objection, Xiaofang immediately became happy. Beulah seemed to be attracted by this reason. She was a little hesitant, and immediately gritted her teeth and said firmly, me too, so I will work hard. Then you have to be psychologically prepared next. Even if you say you want to give up at the time, I won't pity you. Vegeta's serious expression gave them one last chance to regret it. But they are all descendants of Saiyan. Since the decision has been made, they will definitely not change, so they nodded firmly. Well, in that case, let's get used to the environment here and start with the simplest running. Vegeta used the power of rules to draw a kilometer-long circular runway in front. This runway is not a simple circle, but twists and turns, turning left and right for a while, irregular, and some simple obstacles such as wooden piles and rocks will appear from time to time in the middle. Vegeta pointed to the track and said, you are not allowed to use energy. Let's run 10 laps. I will not limit the time. I will talk about it when you get used to it. After speaking, he stretched out his hand and patted Xiaofang and Beulah each, and their physical energy was immediately sealed. Thump. Thump. The second woman was not mentally prepared, and sat down on the ground with her hands on the ground, looking quite strenuous. This is to prevent you from cheating. Vegeta said with a smirk, you said you wouldn't give up, so don't blame me. Xiaofang gritted her teeth and stood up hard. Just this action has consumed a lot of energy, and when she looked over the runway, Zhao Yan couldn't help showing a trace of worry. Can this really be done? 10 laps is 10,000 meters, still when the energy is sealed. You know, the gravity here is 10 times that of the Earth, and the air is very thin. People with weaker physiques may come in directly into shock. After all, Xiaofang is just a teenage girl. This task is really difficult for her. Even Xiaofang is like this, let alone Bra. The two women looked at each other, and both saw the lack of confidence in each other's eyes. So, are you giving up? Finally, I will give you another chance to quit. Vegeta's voice rang again. As a result, his words seemed to have inspired them, and the two of them suddenly changed into firm expressions and stepped towards the runway step by step. Since Vegeta has no time limit, Xiaofang and Bra are very difficult to run. Oh no, it should be said that they are quite difficult to walk. But no matter what, they are not ordinary girls. Even if their energy is sealed, they are still million-level combat-powered bodies. It's only 10 times the gravity. At first, it may not adapt to it, but after a longer time, it can slowly adapt, starting from taking a step to rest, to running with small steps. Looking like this, it will take a while to finish running, let them run first. Vegeta took a simple look, and then stopped paying attention to Xiaofang and Bra. After all, he didn't come here purely to point others. Don't worry about Leguzi's side, unless Super 5 Gotenks come out, otherwise these guys will be easily beaten by Legoshi no matter how they improve. Then, let's study Super Saiyan 5 first. Vegeta walked to a place where it did not affect other people, and with a loud noise, he transformed from the realm of mortals into Super Saiyan 5. This is the second time he has transformed into a Super 5. The aura convergence is not perfect, but it will not burst out directly as it was at the beginning, just control it in a small area. Now the normal combat effectiveness of Vegeta's mortal realm has increased to 250 trillion, which is almost equal to that of Son Gohan's Super 4 in this time and space. Transformed from the normal state to Super 5, the combat power has reached the terrifying 1250 Beijing, which is 50,000 times the normal state. Therefore, the combat effectiveness of Super 5 is 10 times that of Super 4. This is quite a terrifying improvement. You know, although the Super Game God is 20,000 times the normal, but the Super Blue is only twice the Super Red, which is 40,000 times the normal. Just from the data comparison, Super 5 is 10,000 times more than Super Blue. Of course, in the realm of Vegeta, simple combat power data is no longer very accurate. After all, these data are substituted into the formula according to the ratio at the low level, and then calculated step by step, and can only represent the energy intensity on the bright surface. To put it simply, everyone does not use any skills and means to fight directly and indirectly, so those with high combat effectiveness will of course have a greater advantage. However, the higher the realm, the better the combat skills and means of combat, and will not be limited to energy intensity. Of course, these are not the issues that Vegeta is concerned about now. Although he has successfully transformed into Super Saiyan 5, Vegeta still doesn't know much about the role of emotions and energy changes in this transformation process. He needs to control all the details of this state, and then complete the fusion of the God realm, so as to maximize his strength. The energy aspect is okay, but the emotional change is done through the memories of Son Goku and Vegeta, and he does not play a big role in this aspect. Therefore, if he wants to master this transformation thoroughly, and even establish a stronger limit on the basis of this transformation, he needs to go deep into those memories and fully appreciate these emotions. How does this setting make me feel like I don't have feelings? Realizing this, Vegeta couldn't help but smile a little bitterly. Of course, he just spit out a little bit. Saiyan's transformation needs a limit state or an emotional explosion that exceeds the limit to ignite emotions through emotions. It sounds simple, but in fact it is really difficult for ordinary people to do this, especially for sane people like Vegeta. Fortunately, Vegeta is a fit fighter with the memories of Son Goku and Vegeta in his mind. Just flip to find the right scene, record their emotions at the time, and then slowly recall the experience. For Vegeta, he doesn't need to use that kind of emotion to arouse his emotions, he just needs to remember the feeling of the outbreak, and then simulate it through the power of rules. In the next period of time, Vegeta was carrying out simulated manipulation of various emotions, such as great joy, great compassion, great anger, great injury. This kind of practice is roughly the same as the project that Supreme Kai World Vegeta is practicing. However, the practice of Vegeta is risky, and the effect cannot be guaranteed. Vegeta is obviously different, there is no risk in his practice. If it works, you can do it twice if you don't work once, or 3 times if it doesn't work twice. It's exactly the same as sitting there and meditating at any time. If we let Vegeta and Son Gohan know about this kind of thing, I'm afraid they will have the heart to kill the old Supreme Kai, right? But to Vegeta's surprise, after a short period of time, Xiaofang and Blah finished the task and came to him. Baguette, we have run 10 laps. I'm exhausted, but luckily it's done. Xiaofang and Blah ran out of breath, sweating all over, their clothes clinging to them. Although they are young, they are really in good shape, and they basically have the prototype of a perfect curve. Especially Bra, who has done an excellent job of maintenance and looks more supple, which makes Vegeta almost unbearable. It can only be said that it is worthy of the daughter of the rich family. Quite fast. Vegeta was in a daze, and soon recovered, without showing any look of Brother Pig. That is, I am Xiaofang. Xiaofang looked triumphantly. However, she did have the arrogant capital. At this time, Xiaofang seemed to have adapted to the environment very well, and after running 10 laps, she only seemed a little tired. Unlike Bra, who was standing there with his legs shaking, he couldn't speak so casually like Xiaofang, and felt that he might not be able to breathe at any time. Eat this first. Vegeta threw a fairy bean to each of them. The second daughter naturally recognized Shendu, but in their time and space, Shendu was almost extinct, and he didn't expect that Vegeta would take it out at will. It didn't feel distressed at all, it seemed that there were still a lot of things. But soon they thought of Vegeta's identity, and it didn't seem so strange to bring out some fairy beans. They didn't know that these were all grown by Vegeta in his spare time, and it had nothing to do with identity or anything. Well, now that the physical strength has recovered, and I have generally adapted to the environment here, then the next goal is to run 100 laps within an hour. Vegeta issued a second task for them. Upon hearing this number, Xiaofang and Blah suddenly exclaimed. What? 100 laps in an hour? How is this possible? What's impossible? Vegeta looked at them, and Shi Shiran said. It's only 100 laps. I think it's too much for an hour. Xiaofang, you can travel around the Earth early, right? The length of this 100 circles is only a few hundredths of one circle of the Earth. Is this comparable? Xiaofang vomited. I use flying, and I don't fly all at once. Then you can't run? Vegeta just looked at them faintly. Run. The two women gritted their teeth and rushed towards the runway, not knowing how much faster than last time. Seeing the two chicks who flicked their small arms and twisted their small waists and ran away, Birgit couldn't help but smile, and there was a slight difference in his expression. A young and beautiful girl, and all have a good impression of him. Vegeta is a normal man, and of course he will not be without thoughts. Now his strength has almost improved. Apart from preventing demon creatures, he needs to raise another level, and the rest can slowly enjoy life. Of course, before that, he still has one more thing to do. This is also another goal for him to come to this time and space, in addition to studying the Super 5 transformation, and it is also the main reason why he did not bring Vados with him. He wants to study the universe rules contained in the seed of the universe. In other words, Vegeta must be able to resist Xeno's elimination ability before leaving this time and space. This idea may be crazy to others, but for him, a traverser, it must be done. Of course, it is still necessary to figure out the realm of the Super 5 gods first. The realm of strength has been improved, and it is also beneficial for him to comprehend the power of higher level rules. So in the following time, Vegeta was once again immersed in the simulated manipulation of emotions. Others also have their own practice. After Xiaofang and Beulah gradually adapted to the conditions here, their running speed continued to increase. Just wanting to run 100 laps in an hour with the energy being sealed, this is really not a simple matter. In order to prevent them from coming to disturb him from time to time, Vegeta gave each of them 100 fairy beans and slowly practiced. On Laga's side, Son Goten, under high pressure, can only put all their minds into the control of energy. Because Uub is a very serious person, it puts a lot of pressure on Son Goten and Trunks, and they are more serious than ever. In this case, their strength is also increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It will take some time to complete the transformation of Super Saiyan E. In a blink of an eye, a month has passed in the Spirit and Time House. Vegeta, who had been studying various emotions, which led to his constantly changing expressions, suddenly became calm. Not only the expression is calm, even the breath is extremely peaceful, and he is clearly in the Super 5 state, but the whole person is no different from the normal state. Super 5 full power, complete. Vegeta returned to normal, and then entered the realm of gods. There is only one chance to enter the Super 5 God realm. Once you fail, you will need a deeper understanding next time to complete the transformation. In the dark, when Vegeta had such an insight, his face couldn't help but become serious. The Super 5 God realm is different from the Super 5 of the mortal realm. It was originally an explosion of extreme emotions. Even if it has been cultivated to full power, it looks peaceful on the surface, but in fact, his body is like a high-speed machine, without stopping at all times. Therefore, the Super 4 can be regarded as the normal state and have been maintained, but the Super 5 is not good, and can only be used as a fighting state. At this time, it is indeed a very difficult thing to fusion God realm in this Ultra 5 state of extreme operation. However, after this month of practice, Vegeta has a good chance of success. It's just that everything is in case, so he also needs to be careful. The safest way is to increase energy step by step. In the past month, he has only practiced emotional simulation control, but Vegeta's strength has improved a lot. The normal state of the mortal realm has been directly increased from 250 trillion to 300 trillion. At this time, in the realm of God of normal state, combat strength, 60 Jing. After releasing the energy in this state, the whole body is braving the golden particle energy. However, due to the blessing of perfect and incomprehensible nature, these particles have extremely high energy density and look more like tangible matter, like a burning flame. God realm in full energy form, combat strength, 1200 Jing. His hair and pupils were rendered golden, except for his bangs, his hair was all upside down. This golden color is more lustrous than the Super 1 state of the mortal realm. The energy released by the whole body is still the flame energy in the shape of golden particles, but the energy is much larger just by looking at it with the naked eye. Immediately afterwards, Super 1 God realm, combat strength, 3000 Jing. The flame energy in the shape of golden particles moves slightly, and the color in the center gradually deepens, slowly turning into orange. The energy is divided into 2 layers, the middle is orange, and the outside is golden. Vegeta's appearance did not change much, only the hair and pupils were rendered orange. Super Second God Realm, Combat Strength, 1.2 Guy. The divine energy exploded again, and the particle-shaped flame energy that was originally divided into 2 layers was superimposed with a layer of red. The outermost is golden, the middle is orange, and the inner is red. Hair and eyes are also rendered red. The appearance of this form looks the same as Chao, with more hair standing up, leaving only a fringe in front of his forehead. His eyes become sharper, and his facial features are more prominent. After that, Super 4 God Realm, Combat Strength, 6 Guy. The whole body has dark red hair, and the hair is also dark red, with purplish red eyes, dark purple eyes, and a dark red tail fluttering behind him. And the energy surrounding him seemed more solid, as if to condense into a solid. The color is divided into 2 layers again. The outer part is a 3-in-1 crimson, while the center is a dark purple, purple-black one. Has it reached 6 Guy? It's improved faster than expected. For the current strength, Vegeta is actually quite satisfied. The power limit of this world is almost here, and further up is the comprehension of the rules, as well as various fighting techniques and methods. Vegeta knows very well that 6 Guy's combat effectiveness may have surpassed Grand Priest. After all, Whis is only 200 Beijing, and is already the strongest among all angels. However, Whis said that Grand Priest can beat him with a single finger. Vegeta now has 6 Guy combat power, and feels like he can easily defeat Whis without a finger at all. However, even with such a fighting power, Vegeta has no confidence in winning the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest has survived for countless years, and the understanding of the rules has reached an extremely terrifying situation. If you can't compete with it in the rules, it may have been defeated without waiting for Vegeta to take action. Just like Zeno's erasure, you can't resist this ability, you don't even have the qualifications to fight him. As for looking for the Dragon of God to make a wish and gain the ability to eliminate Zeno, isn't this a joke? The Dragon God Salama may have this ability, but the 7 Dragon Balls summoned by the 2 universes alone want to resist Zeno, who is above the 12 universes. Just make a wish with you in front of the Earth Shenron, to gain the ability that Frieza can't kill you. Is this possible? It's impossible to know with your toes. Okay, then the next step is the Super 5 God Realm. With a solemn expression, Vegeta closed his eyes and carefully comprehended the practice of the past month, and then resolutely stimulated the energy mutation and entered the state of transformation. Boom. An unspeakable feeling burst out from the bottom of my heart, and the energy swept away completely uncontrollably. Vegeta's emotions were also a little out of control at this moment, and all kinds of emotions erupted collectively. Fortunately, in the past month, Vegeta's manipulation of these emotions has reached an extremely skillful level. Although he was slightly caught off guard, after reacting, he immediately settled down to sort out these emotions, and his complexion soon calmed down. The emotional outburst is only a moment, and after being stabilized by Vegeta, it means that the transformation is half successful. A bright silver flashed on the chest, and then quickly spread in all directions. Before long, bright silver light covered the whole body, and the originally dark red body hair gradually turned into bright silver under this light. Body hair, tail, all change inch by inch. In addition to the color gradient, the intensity is constantly improving. At this time, Vegeta's body can be called a cast of copper and iron, made into steel, even harder than casting steel, the hardest universe. The change in physique caused Vegeta to suddenly increase a lot of pressure. His body had begun to tremble slightly. Once he couldn't bear it, his unsuccessful transformation state would immediately retreat, and he declared the transformation failure. But in the end, Vegeta managed to endure it. He may not have such great perseverance himself, but Son Goku and Vegeta are both steel-like wills, and it is enough to stimulate their memories. Rumble. I don't know where countless thunder and lightning popped up, smashing on Vegeta madly, and the surrounding time and space began to appear confused. Originally, because of his sudden burst of powerful aura, the whole spiritual time house was constantly trembling, making Legusi, Xiaofeng and others unstable. They opened a long distance and condensed extremely thick crystals in Legusi. After the wall, they finally settled down. But now that countless lightning bolts fell, although they did not affect them, they still made everyone frightened and panicked. It's such a terrifying power, it's too powerful to imagine. Cold sweat was on Yueb's face. Almost everyone else had this expression. Son Goten clenched his teeth, but he kept trembling because of panic. Trunks resisted the panic and said, "I've felt this breath, I'm afraid I will have nightmares." Don't talk about these nonsense. What happened to Baguette? Why did it suddenly become like this? Xiaofeng was so anxious that tears fell. For Veget's concerns and worries, she wrote completely on her face. Laguz seemed rather calm, and her face solemnly said, "Don't panic, if I'm not mistaken, Master Vegeta should have successfully cultivated, and her energy has increased too much in an instant, and she can't control it for a while. So you guys, just take care of yourself." What the hell is this cultivating? If it weren't for Sister Laguz, I might have died just now. Beulah was scared, but for Vegeta, who was releasing huge pressure from a distance, his eyes were extremely crazy. Obsessed. "This is so handsome," an aura burst out. It turned out to be so earth-shattering. Who else in the entire universe can compare? Blah suddenly discovered that after seeing such a Vegeta, she was afraid it would be impossible to find a boyfriend in the future. No matter how good a person compares with Vegeta, he instantly becomes a scum. Rumble. The lightning in the distance continued to fall, and the ground around Vegeta was already in a mess. Even in places like the Spirit and Time House, it was a bit unbearable. The dimensional barrier was broken again and again, and the energy had begun to sweep outside. The celestial temple outside the dimensional wall, Dend and the others don't know what happened, but at this moment the entire celestial temple was constantly trembling, and even the Kalinta supporting the temple began to crawl with cracks, and it seemed that it would break at any time. What the hell happened? Den's face was full of horror. Bobo doesn't know. It seems to be the breath from the spiritual time house. Bobo supported Dend, but couldn't stand still, and the two fell into a ball together. Fortunately, this breath basically works in the spiritual time house. The outside is just the remnant. In the end, it only made Kalinta and the Temple of Heaven crawled with dense spider webs, without breaking them, otherwise Dend and the others really is about to cry. Well, this is already a blessing. The spiritual time house is a dimensional space opened up in time and space. Strictly speaking, it is not on the Earth. Otherwise, the aura of Vegeta would burst out and the entire Earth would explode. Fortunately, at this time, the thunder and lightning around Vegeta stopped falling. The dimensional barrier was gradually repaired automatically, and the heavenly temple was calm again. "Master Vegeta, are you cultivating something? This is too horrible." Dend and Bobo looked at each other for a long time before wiping the cold sweat from their foreheads and standing up with each other. Bobo didn't know what to say at this time, and his heart was no less shocked than Dend. It can only be said that it is worthy of Lord Vegeta, worthy of the gods of destruction of the time, and the gods standing on the supreme Kai is simply beyond their comprehension. This flash of powerful aura did not spread across the earth, but only affected the Temple of Heaven and Kalinta, and naturally it was not noticed in other places. At this time, in the Spirit and Time House, the violent energy has gradually calmed down. Although there is still an immense energy brewing in the same place, it has been controlled and is still shrinking in the middle. Finally, under the horrified gaze of Sun Goten and others, that group of energy completely converged, and finally revealed a figure that made them completely unfamiliar. Purple golden hair, purple golden eyebrows, purple golden body hair, purple golden tail, and gushing energy all over the body are also purple golden. The facial features are the facial features of Vegeta, which are no different from normal, but the eyes are purple and the eyes are golden. The expression is calm, but the whole person's momentum is full of endless majesty, and people can't help but surrender at a glance. The Super 5 God Realm Vegeta is here. At this time his energy has been controlled, although it still makes people feel extremely powerful, terribly powerful. But the whole spiritual time house has completely calmed down, and there is no energy swept around Vegeta, and it is completely possible for people to approach. It's not easy. I finally broke through, Super 5 God's Realm. Vegeta felt a completely different energy in his body, and there was a wave of heroism in his heart. The entire time and space, all in the palm of your hand. Super 5 God Realm, Combat Strength, 100 Guy. When he saw this combat power value, Vegeta was dumbfounded. The Super 4 God's Realm is only 5 Guy combat strength, but the Super 5 God's Realm has increased by a full 20 times. How is this possible? You know, the Super 5 of the mortal realm is only 10 times that of the Super 4, and according to the previous law, the transformation of the God Realm, the promotion multiple is much lower than that of the mortal realm. But now it's the other way around. The improvement of the Super 5 God Realm is so much higher than the Super 5 of the mortal realm. What is the reason? Vegeta was still thinking about this question, and Laguz had already brought other people over in the distance. Master Vegeta, did you integrate your previous transformation into the realm of gods? After all, Laguz had a higher realm, and it was immediately obvious. Vegeta recovered from his thoughts, smiled slightly, and was about to reply, but suddenly a figure rushed over. Vegeta was about to attack subconsciously, but after he saw the figure clearly, he almost stopped. It's so handsome, Vegeta. Ah, I love you so much. The person who leapt over was Xiaofeng. She was almost too excited to hold on to herself. This performance was not pretended at all, and could not suppress the emotional outburst in her heart. Seeing her reaction, Bla's eyes were full of envy, jealousy and hatred. In fact, she really wanted to pounce like this, and her thoughts were the same as Xiaofang's. It's just that she has received a better education and has a better education, so she held it back. When she saw Xiaofang say, "I love you so much," regardless of shame, not only did she not despise, but she said with anger, "Xiaofang, you are so hateful, you dare to hold Vegeta, come down to me. I don't want it, just a little bit." Xiaofang made a grimace and lay down in Vegeta's arms and couldn't leave. Vegeta couldn't help but smile, and suddenly a word came out of his head for some reason. This is youth. Son Goten, they didn't think much, they just thought Xiaofang admired Vegeta too much, showing a mischievous side. In fact, their admiration for Vegeta is as continuous as the surging river, which is no worse than Xiaofang. This is not an exaggeration. When the energy aura of the Super 5 God realm broke out just now, they felt it directly on the spot. They couldn't perceive the breath of divine energy, but the pressure from the soul had been deeply imprinted in the depths of their minds, lingering for a long time. If Vegeta wanted to, he could plant something like a slave contract in the depths of their souls with just one thought. That kind of oppression can't be experienced without directly experiencing it. So at this moment, they almost all face Vegeta in an attitude of admiration and awe. Okay, Xiaofang, come down first. Vegeta patted Xiaofang on the head lightly, and put her down in the latter's reluctance. When he waved his hand, the power of the rules surged, and the damaged place was immediately restored. Too handsome. Xiaofang's eyes rose again, as if he was about to rush over again. Stop it. Vegeta stopped quickly. And Bra also stepped forward to hold Xiaofang this time. She wouldn't let Xiaofang monopolize Vegeta. Xiaofang grumbled angrily, but Vegeta refused, and she could only stop there. It's not that Vegeta is hypocritical. If there are no Son Goten, Trunks, and Ueb here, Vegeta really doesn't mind having a kiss with her. More intimate actions are okay. Now, let's endure it first. I'm sorry everyone, the energy you just upgraded can't be controlled, and it interrupted your cultivation. Vegeta made an opening remark insincerely. Without waiting for others to say whether he minded, he continued, but it just so happens that, taking this opportunity, I will check the results of your practice this month, and arrange it by the way. The follow-up training plan. After Vegeta finished speaking, he also retreated from the Super 5 God realm and returned to the normal God realm. The transformation of the Super 5 God realm has been completely controlled. For Vegeta, it is no problem to enter that state again. Just find time to adapt to that power. But when he returned to normal, the great pressure he brought to everyone disappeared. Son Goten and the others let out a long sigh and relaxed. I'll come first, I'll come first. Xiaofang took the initiative to jump out, proudly showing off. Before you let me run 100 laps in an hour, I did it in 3 days. But seeing that you have been cultivating, there is no interruption, and I have never relaxed afterwards. They are all repeating the same practice. Now, I can run 100 laps in just 10 minutes. Oh? 10 minutes? Vegeta raised his brow and gave a simple mental calculation. 100 laps is 100,000 meters, so is Xiaofang running 10,000 meters in 1 minute now? It has reached half the speed of sound, which is quite remarkable. Don't underestimate this semisonic speed. This runway is not a straight line, with twists and turns, and obstacles. Xiaofang can pass at half the speed of sound, so if he sprints straight, the speed will probably increase tenfold or 20-fold. Therefore, with her energy being sealed, her speed has far surpassed the speed of sound, which is indeed remarkable. Good job. Vegeta patted her on the head as a sign of encouragement. Just a simple action made Xiaofang feel happy and smiled so that his teeth were showing. When Vegeta looked at Bra, the latter said a little depressed, I need half an hour. Vegeta was stunned for a moment before reacting. Do you run 100 laps in half an hour? It's already very powerful. The speed is 1/3 that of Xiaofang, and the linear speed should also exceed the speed of sound. With Bra's identity conditions, to be able to reach this point, there is indeed no laziness, so Vegeta also expressed her encouragement. Very well, you all did not live up to my expectations. If this is the case, the basics are almost the same. But you will wait a moment, and I will arrange the training plan for you later. Vegeta finished talking to Xiaofang and Bra. He looked at the other 3 people. Ueb's progress is the greatest, because he has a good foundation and fits with Fat Boo. The energy in his body is extremely large. As long as he can perform perfectly, he is already very powerful. With the help of Legacy, a month of hard training has basically allowed him to perfectly control this strength. At this time, the strength of the combat power has reached an astonishing 100 trillion, which is a full 80 trillion higher than before. In other words, he can already sweep all the Super 3 states of Saiyan on the Earth now. Of course, the fit fighter must be ruled out. Son Goten and Trunks have also achieved their expected goals, have successfully transformed into Super Saiyan E, and their normal combat effectiveness has also improved a lot. Son Goten has a normal state of 1.5 billion and a super second state of 150 billion. Trunks has 1.8 billion in normal status and 180 billion in Super 2 status. At this time, if you merge into a Super 3 Gotenks, the combat strength will reach 300 trillion, which is 100 trillion higher than a month ago. Then, your next task is to complete the transformation of Super Saiyan IV. Vegeta said to Son Goten and Trunks. What? Super Saiyan 4? How is this possible? Son Goten yelled out directly, not thinking that he could complete this kind of training at all. Because of this time and space, Vegeta was pulled out of its tail early and could transform into Super Saiyan IV freely. Suddenly hearing Vegeta asking them to practice Super 4, Son Goten subconsciously thought about it. But among the mixed race of Saiyan and the people on Earth, apart from Son Gohan, everyone else has no tail at all. How can you practice Super 4 without a tail? Vegeta said. There is nothing impossible. Although the conditions are not enough, you can still work harder through cultivation, unless you don't seek to make progress yourself. Trunks had an idea, and said, could it be through the Boolean light transmitter? The Boolean light emitter is Bulma's invention, and Trunks knows a little bit better about this. You really need the help of a machine. Vegeta nodded, glanced at Trunks, and said, if I'm not mistaken, you originally wanted to try using a machine to transform into a Super 4. So before coming, deliberately asked Bulma for a small Boolean light emitter. Huh? You saw it? Trunks scratched his head a little embarrassed. It turns out that it is like this, you said it earlier, it made me startled. Son Goten suddenly came over, and also thought that his brother Son Gohan was successfully transformed into a Super 4 through a machine. Vegeta said, however, you have just turned into Super 2 not long ago, and it is a little difficult to reach Super 4 in a short time. So what I mean is that you fusion become Gotenks and then practice Super 4. Son Goten and Trunks were a little surprised, but it makes more sense to think so. As early as 20 years ago, their fusion Gotenks were able to transform into a Super 3. Now so many years have passed, although the cultivation has been a bit slack, but the strength has still improved a lot. If you practice Super 4 transformation in the state of Gotenks, the success rate will indeed be much higher. After confirming this, Vegeta said to Ueb, Gotenks has a flawed character, so after transforming into a golden great ape, it is certainly not as easy as Gohan to restore your sanity, and you will handle it then. You don't need to awaken his memory deliberately. You can use Gotenks of the golden great ape as a cultivation object. You can fight with him until he recovers his senses. In this regard, Ueb did not make any comments, and replied respectfully, yes, Lord Vegeta. Although the golden great ape Gotenks must be much stronger than him, but since he is irrational, Ueb is not completely impossible to fight with him. The most important thing is that this is spiritual practice, and of course it cannot be so smooth. So things were arranged in this way, and this kind of cultivation was enough for them to be in trouble for a long time. As for the two of you, you still practice in the same way. After Vegeta drove Son Goten and the others to a distance, he looked at Xiaofang and Bra. What? Why do you need to practice the same way? Xiaofang was immediately unhappy. Vegeta said, basic training is the most important thing. Even if Vegeta's strength reaches this level, he will only practice basic training every day. You are still early. But keep running like this, there is no motivation at all, and if you continue to run, you may not be able to increase the speed, right? I feel that I am almost at the limit. Xiaofang looked rather reluctant. Beulah actually had the same idea. Although he knew that cultivation would be boring, it would be too boring to keep running like this. Do you want motivation? Vegeta smiled slightly. In that case, let you feel it. After speaking, he patted each of the two women. Boom. Boom. The seal in the two women's body was lifted, and the energy that had been suppressed for a month rebounded at this time, which suddenly increased their energy intensity a lot. Xiaofang's normal combat power has increased from 3 million to 5 million, and Beulah's normal combat power has been increased from 1.6 million to 3 million. What? How is this possible? It's such a powerful force, how did it improve so much all at once? I didn't feel it before, I just thought it was because the speed and response had improved a lot, but now that the energy is unblocked, the feeling after this improvement is more clear. How is it? Are you satisfied with the results of this month's practice? Vegeta looked at the beautiful face of the second woman with a funny face. Because of the shock, their faces are full of shock at this time, dumb and silly, looking pretty cute. Aw. That's amazing, Vegeta. How did you do it? Xiaofang immediately screamed and threw himself into Vegeta's arms after reacting. This girl now takes advantage of every opportunity. Blah pouted and followed Xiaofang's appearance, screaming with a delighted expression, and drilled into Vegeta's arms. As a result, Xiaofang seemed to have been wary of it long ago, and turned around without a trace, and blocked Beulah. Asshole Xiaofang, you come down to me. Blah, instantly furious, stretched out his hand to pull Xiaofang. Since she doesn't make room for her, then don't ask anyone. Xiaofang finally found this opportunity. Where would he give in? It's a pity that she, who was in Vegeta's arms, was restricted in her movement, and she couldn't grab Bra for a while, but she was pulled down in the end. You are the bastard, I can't spare you. Xiaofang was also embarrassed, and immediately moved his hand at Beulah. HMPH, you think I'm afraid of you? Beulah didn't give in, and didn't show mercy. So the two fought directly. Fortunately, they were making trouble, but in fact they just tried their current strength from the beginning, and they didn't play too much. Moreover, the stronger Xiaofang also paid attention to controlling his own strength and did not hurt Bra. It seems that the relationship between the two is still relatively good. Vegeta just smiled and watched the scene without interrupting them. Young people always need some vitality. He doesn't like that kind of stereotyped character. However, Xiaofang and the others also knew how to measure. They didn't let Vegeta wait for a long time. They simply played a few rounds, and Xiaofang suppressed Bua as the end. He, you have to give up. You will call my sister in the future, Xiaofang said with a smug expression. Although she is indeed 1 year older than Bra, she is a younger generation, so even if the relationship is good, she can't be Bra's sister, and now she is taking this opportunity to propose. I don't want to. Bra made a grimace and said angrily, next time I practice I will work harder than you, and I will beat you when I look back. Feeling the power after the promotion, Xiaofang and Beulah no longer reject the same practice. But of course Vegeta didn't just let them keep running, but put another load on them. The energy is still sealed, starting with 20 times the gravity, and after fully adapting, continue to increase the multiples of gravity. As for the adjustment of gravity, Vegeta can easily do it with the power of rules. It's just that he wants to continue his practice, so this matter is left to Laguz. Although Laguz doesn't have the power of regularity, she has the ability to generate glass. Transforming Xiaofang and Bra's bodies into semi-crystalline can achieve similar results. The so-called semi-crystalline is to cover their cells with a layer of glass, but it will not completely affect their actions, which is similar to the effect of gravity. Another thing to mention is that I have seen everyone practicing hard in the past month, and Laguz is not completely idle. She is also practicing silently. Although the progress is not large, it has fully reached the strength of the fighting strength of Tu Jing. Vegeta's next practice was an insight into the power of rules. The rules that were stripped from the seed of the universe could be used to resist Zeno's elimination ability. For this ability, Vegeta had long been expecting it. Before he bombed the hazy universe seed, he had copied it through his own fighting rules, and collected a small part of the origin in the fighting rules. Even if the spirit of the Grand Priest was able to perceive the battle at the time, it would definitely not be able to detect this little action of Vegeta. At this time, he was going to extract that copy of the rules from the fighting rules, and then he could perceive it carefully, so as to achieve complete control. Vegeta's God Realm was originally cultivated by himself, and it took more than a year to understand the two rules of time and space and breaking. He is already familiar with the perception of the power of rules, and now he only needs to spend more time to analyze, and then slowly control and strengthen it. Before I knew it, a year passed quietly. In this year, Son Goten and Trunks have fully mastered the power of Super 4 Gotenks. Their combat effectiveness has also improved a lot, and they have also undergone a single Super 4 transformation, but unfortunately both of them failed in the end, but they have transformed the Super 3 transformation into practice. Now Son Goten's normal combat power is 2 billion, and its Super 3 status reaches 800 billion. Trunks has a normal combat power of 2.5 billion, and its Super 3 status reaches 1 trillion. The two merged into Gotenks, with 1 trillion in the normal state and 5,000 trillion in the Super 4 form. The spiritual time house has been in the past year, and the reality is only 1 day away. Vegeta must have not completed the practice of Super 5 transformation. Son Gohan is naturally even more impossible. Even if he masters Super 4 transformation, he will have to line up. Therefore, among the fighters in this time and space, the Super 4 Gotenks are the strongest. Then there is Ueb, who has been practicing with Gotenks this year, and his strength has naturally improved a lot. Although it is not too exaggerated, it has reached a height of 150 trillion. As for Xiaofang and Bra, the progress of the two of them also made Vegeta very pleased. After such a long time, except for occasionally stealing a little lazy, I never gave up. Today, 1 year later, they can withstand 50 times the gravity of the Earth with the energy sealed. This bearing means that eating, drinking, and sleeping have no effect at all. As a result, when Vegeta helped them to unlock the seal, their energy exploded wildly. Xiaofang's normal combat effectiveness suddenly increased to a height of 100 million, which was already 20 times higher than before. Beulah Deezy was a little bit close, gritted his teeth and caught up. In the end, he did not surpass Xiaofang, but it was also not much worse. The normal combat effectiveness had increased to 80 million, and the gap had narrowed. Moreover, because of long-term suppression, after unlocking the energy seal and adapting to the explosion of energy, they had just learned how to transform, and they had reached super full power. Well, that's the end of this practice. Vegeta called them all over and said, "You have to remember one thing, you must cultivate with a degree of relaxation, and you must not relax too much, and you must not be too urgent. Every time you practice, it's best to set a small goal for yourself. After you reach this goal, relax for a while and let your tight heartstring relax first. Normally, just do a little warm-up exercise." Now in the eyes of everyone, Vegeta says almost everything is the truth. Therefore, everyone took his words seriously in their hearts, saying that they would do what Vegeta said in the future. As a result, Vegeta broke the dimensional barriers and brought everyone out of the spiritual timehouse one after another. At this time, the Tianshan temple has been restored. Although Den's ability is not strong, this little thing is not difficult. "Have you completed your training?" Den bowed to Vegeta first, and then looked at Son Goten and Trunks after getting a reply. 7 Dragon Ball has always been kept by him, so Den knows the situation of 7 Dragon Ball best. In fact, if the old Supreme Kai hadn't taken the initiative to bring it up, it would have been hard to hide this matter. As he felt, the negative energy in the 7 Dragon Ball was increasing day by day, and Son Goku seemed to be unable to hold it anymore. Therefore, he eagerly hopes that everyone's strength can be improved to cope with the changes in the near future. It's half done. Trunks looked calmer than before, without pride or self-effacement. It's just this statement, Den doesn't quite understand it. Yueb explained. According to Master Vegeta's judgment, our current strength may be able to beat the previous Super Omega Shenron, but it is hard to say how strong the evil dragon that appears later will be. That's it. Den was a little relieved in his heart. Isn't it enough to beat Super Omega Shenron? Although the evil dragon that appears this time will be stronger than before, the individual is probably far inferior to the Super Omega Shenron, right? You know, Super Omega Shenron was born after absorbing all the negative energy of the 7 Dragon Balls. That is no longer what a normal evil dragon can define. In that case, we just need to prevent Omega Shenron from absorbing 7 Dragon Balls. As long as we don't let him become a Super Omega Shenron, we should have a great chance of winning. Den pondered. Trunks nodded and said, "We have the same idea. Now we are waiting for Dad and Brother Gohan. I don't know how they practiced in the Supreme Kai world. With the help of the old Supreme Kai, I don't think there should be a problem." Den seemed to trust the old Supreme Kai very much. Vegeta interrupted, "Then Den, should you talk about the 7 Dragon Ball? Now that his cultivation has been completed, he can relax completely, but he can also gossip." Huh. This 7 Dragon Ball, actually. Den didn't seem to know how to describe it, and was about to say that he was going to take out the 7 Dragon Ball. However, at this moment, a powerful energy burst out of a certain area of the Earth. Boom. The energy exploded, and at the center of the explosion, a large number of lives disappeared instantly. What? Trunks and others were shocked. How does it feel? What happened? Something attacked the Earth. What a strong evil spirit. Several people looked at each other one after another, and Trunks shouted, "Goten, Yueb, anyway, let's go." At this time, they don't care about Vegeta. After all, he said long ago that Vegeta would not interfere with the actions of non-temporal disruptors. Damn it. Son Goten gritted his teeth and said, one after another, "What happened to the Earth?" The 3 of them didn't talk any more nonsense, and immediately flew towards the spot they sensed. Time is tight, and if you slow down a little bit, more people may die. Let's go together. Xiaofang didn't even think about it, and immediately chased after him. Bragg glanced at Vegeta, who smiled and nodded. Go, even if you can't help me, somehow go see it. What? Look down on us too much. Beulah waved a fan fist at Vegeta like a demonstration, but he also followed Xiaofang to catch up. It feels like someone from the demon world. Laguz glanced at Vegeta, her expression a little hesitant. The devil? Vegeta froze for a moment. After slightly sensing it, he found that 2 evil spirits had descended on the Earth. They were indeed not weak in strength, but Trunks and the others could definitely handle it now. In my impression, Vegeta didn't have any information about these 2 people, but he did notice something similar to Fu from their breath. Let's go. Let's take a look too. Vegeta floated up and followed far behind. Yes, Master Vegeta. Laguz was actually curious, who came from the demon realm. But she didn't think she knew each other. After all, she hadn't been anywhere except the core area in the demon realm. As for the creatures in the core area, they are basically dead. But after all came out of the dark demon world, Laguz felt somewhat strange to the creatures who were also the demon world. Soon, everyone found the two demon world creatures in the high mountains outside the eastern capital. These two people are tall and short. They are tall and very similar to people on Earth, except that their skin is pink and they have two pointed ears. The short man was similar to Pilaf, with two stripes on each side of his cheeks. At this time, the tall fingertips were condensing energy, aiming at the eastern metropolitan area in the distance. Once this energy is released, the entire East is afraid that it will be annihilated in an instant. It is conceivable that the energy burst that was sensed before and the disappearance of a large number of creatures are the masterpiece of this tall man. Swish. When the trunks rushed over, they immediately caught their attention, and the energy of the tall man's fingertips was not released. Who are you guys? But no one is allowed to hurt the earth. Trunks looked at the two opposite people with a calm face. Someone who is overpowered has appeared. The short man grinned. The tall man said with a flat face, I just came out looking for a nice voice. I am not interested in anything else. If you are here to disturb, then you are the enemy. Vegeta and Laguz followed. Vegeta used the power of rules to connect the Supreme Kai world. He knew that the guys over there must have discovered the abnormality of the earth and watched the situation here through the crystal ball. Supreme Kai, you should know the origins of these two people, right? Vegeta found Supreme Kai and Son Gohan staring at the crystal ball. However, Vegeta was at a critical time in his cultivation, and Son Gohan had no intention of rushing over because he was practicing Super Saiyan IV at this time, so his energy was a bit unstable, so he put his hope on Trunks and the others. Master Vegeta. Supreme Kai was slightly stunned when he heard Vegeta's voice, then his face respectfully said, yes, the taller one is Demon King Marple. The Devil King? Vegeta raised his brows. If I remember correctly, Doppler should be the Devil King, right? Yes, this guy is the new monster that Doppler has gained the status of King of the Demon Realm after his death. Supreme Kai said, when I saw that guy, his power was several times that of Doppler. Conquered the entire Demon Realm. However, the Demon Realm has been very peaceful recently. Why did he suddenly appear on Earth? Conquer the entire demon world. Vegeta raised his brows slightly, looked at Laguz and asked, do you have any impression of the name Marple? As for the combat effectiveness that is several times stronger than Doppler, Vegeta didn't care about it at all. Not to mention him, even if Laguz makes a shot, he can easily sling him. Laguz shook her head slightly and said, I have never heard of it. If he really conquered the entire Dark Demon Realm, I wouldn't know it. Will Lord Supreme Kai have wrong information? Vegeta smiled and said, after all, it's not the same time and space, and it's possible that the demon realm here is different from the one you are in. If there is only a power that is several times the power of Doppler, wanting to control the entire demon realm is nothing short of wishful thinking. So that's it. Laguz was suddenly. She hadn't even been outside the core area of the demon world before, so naturally she knew nothing about time and space. Anyway, I'll ask Mr. Vegeta for the situation over there. Gohan and their cultivation are at a critical juncture. Supreme Kai's tone was with a request. If things get out of control, Mr. Vegeta. Just let Gohan and the others practice at ease, don't worry about this side of the earth. Vegeta didn't explain much. But this sentence alone is enough to reassure the Supreme Kai community. At this time, the battle below has started. In the eyes of Demon King Marple, Trunks and others are just like ants, they are not in the eyes at all. So the two sides couldn't communicate at all. They just said the opening remarks, Trunks and the others already knew it, so the three of them broke out almost at the same time. 7 Dragon Ball cannot be used now. We should try our best to avoid unnecessary casualties, so we need to change the battlefield. Trunks and Son Goten joined forces, and there was no warning that the airwave erupted, and it was harmless, but it pushed Maple far out and pushed it into no man's land. At the same time, Uub also flashed to the other short man at a very fast speed, grabbed the opponent's arm and threw it far away. As a result, the two sides were divided into 2 battlefields. Trunks and Son Goten fight against Demon King Marple. Uub battled another devil warrior. Oh, really, why don't you wait for us? Xiaofang and Beulah were 1 step behind, and when they arrived, they had already been separated, and they were farther away. Beulah looked in 2 directions and said helplessly, then what shall we do? Choose one, or one person. Of course it's one person, I want to solve an enemy by myself. Xiaofang's newborn calf is not afraid of tigers, and she doesn't know how terrifying the enemy is to her. With her current strength, Even the Doppler of the year is far inferior, let alone the maple 20 years later. However, Xiaofang didn't know herself well. After speaking, she immediately exploded and took the initiative to pick a direction to fly over. There was the direction of Trunks, Sun Goten, and Maple. Beulah actually didn't approve of this proposal, but Xiaofang was always so popular and didn't give her the opportunity to oppose it. But after all, she didn't leave Xiaofang behind. After hesitating for a while, she still chased after Xiaofang. She remembered what Vegeta had said before, that they couldn't help much here, they could only see it. Therefore, in the eyes of Vegeta, the strength of these two enemies must far exceed them. Bra is much more rational than Xiaofang. Thinking about this, she knows what she should do. Master Vegeta, don't you care about them? In the distance, Laguz looked at the background of Xiaofang's second daughter and said. Vegeta laughed and said, it is okay to let them suffer a bit, so that they will not be so reckless in the future. Now it is good to have me watching, if no one is looking after, I don't know what happened. Laguz chuckled, Master Vegeta is really hardworking, and he is very caring for them. Vegeta glanced at her, put her chin in his hand, and said in a flirtatious tone, actually, I am very caring for you too. Laguz's face flushed instantly, her eyes shyly dodged, but she didn't resist Vegeta's movements. For this reason, Vegeta was just a simple molesting. Seeing her reaction like this, he couldn't help but kissed him. Laguz is really a pretty cute girl, gentle, kind, and considerate. From the time she chose to be with Vegeta, she seemed to have been thinking about Vegeta with all her heart. No matter what Vegeta told her to do, she didn't complain at all. And after seeing the people around Vegeta getting stronger and stronger, she will also feel a sense of crisis, and then practice silently. For such a girl, Vegeta really couldn't find a reason not to keep her with her forever. Moreover, it would really be a shame to treat her innocence just to let her be an attendant. So Vegeta had already thought about filling her into the harem, and now it's just taking advantage of the trend. Laguz was obviously caught off guard, her eyes were dull instantly, her body was stiff, and she didn't react at all. Vegeta just tasted it, and then patted her red cheeks and smiled. I really don't know who else in this world can be cuter than you. At this time, Laguz gradually recovered, blushing, stamped his feet, and said, Master Vegeta. Haha. Baguette laughed suddenly. On the other side, the battle on the battlefield has been in full swing. Although Trunks and Sun Goten directly transformed into Super Saiyan E, they were shocked when they felt the faint breath of Marple. However, before they had any other reaction, Marple appeared between the two in an instant, and easily shot them away. So fast. What a speed. Trunks finally stabilized his momentum, with a look on his face. Sun Goten responded similarly. I can't react at all, my body can't keep up at all. But even so, the battle must continue. After the two stabilized their bodies, they rushed towards Marple again. Drink. Marple spread his hands, and drove the two upside down with only the impact of air. What? Trunks and Sun Goten finally reacted. The difference in strength between the two sides was so great that they couldn't even touch their opponents at all in their state. Quack. I caught it. Maple smiled evilly, and suddenly shook his hands. A transparent cube suddenly appeared, covering the Trunks, and a transparent cube also appeared on Sun Goten's side. What? What exactly is this? The body can't move. Trunks and Sun Goten are confined by this cube, and the whole person seems to be constrained by something, and they can't even move their fingers. Can you guys withstand this trick? Maple grinned. Driven by his energy, the two cubes exploded instantly, and two mushroom clouds rose on the spot. Xiaofang and Beulah, who had just rushed over, just caught up with this picture, and they lost their color in a moment, and were pushed far away by the huge wave of air. The two cubes are very similar to Haz's abilities, Vegeta said, rubbing his chin. Laguz took a look and said, that is the barrier of gravity, but Marple is only a semi-finished product, and its power is far from comparable to that of Haz. After all, the strength is different. Marple's combat power is only a few hundred megabytes. Super 3 Gotenks are enough to deal with it. Vegeta smiled. Laguz nodded slightly and said, but Goten and Trunks are careless. Although they won't lose their combat effectiveness this time, their energy may have dropped a lot. This is their common problem. Baguette sighed and said, I don't know if I learned it from Son Goku. Son Goku. Is that the one who uses the mortal realm to perform god skills? There is this person in Laguz's memory, but he has not been in close contact. She curiously said, this one called Son Goku seems to be very powerful, and he seems to be the backbone of these people on Earth. I often hear this name from them, everyone seems to admire him very much. You'll know when you touch it. Baguette tickled his mouth slightly, and said, that's a headache, but I have to admire someone. Even Vegeta can't deny that Son Goku's willpower is far stronger than him. There are two things. When Trunks and Son Goten were in crisis, Uub's situation was not very good. His opponent is Kyoku, and his strength is not very strong, at least he is far worse than Uub. And Uub was not the kind of person who would underestimate the enemy and be taken advantage of by the enemy. So in the beginning, Uub completely suppressed his opponent, almost winning. As a result, the opponent used a strange ability, and Uub immediately fell into the illusion, and his body stood still and did not move. "I can't beat Uncle Goku, I can't," Uub murmured. Kyoku suddenly grinned evilly. "Quack, I have been completely hit by my illusion, I have already won." Uub's mind is immersed in the illusion. It seems that he is at war with Son Goku, and he keeps talking about it, he can't beat Son Goku. Perhaps, Son Goku is a barrier in his heart. In this case, Uub was beaten by Chiyoku for a long time. Fortunately, Chiyoku's strength is too far away from Uub's strength, and part of the energy has to maintain illusion control, causing limited damage to Uub. It's time to end. Kyoku just relaxed his control of illusion, and Uub suddenly roared, and his body exploded with a powerful aura that made Kyoku feel frightened. What is this chi? It did not fall, but rose rapidly. Yaya. Uub's energy is still increasing crazily. Chiyoku's face was shocked and pale. Oops. If this goes on, this guy will become dangerous. There is no choice but to disarm the illusion first. The illusion was lifted, and Uub, who yelled and raised his breath, slowly calmed down. "Huh, great, calm down," Chief Chiyu exclaimed. Unexpectedly, Uub, who was caught in the illusion, not only did not lose his resistance, but desperately to improve his aura. This was the first time that Kyoku encountered this situation. "Huh. What's wrong with me?" Uub completely broke away from the illusion, still a little bit unsure of his state. He was really caught in the illusion just now. During the illusion, Son Goku suddenly appeared, to check his cultivation progress during this period of time. Uub's strength has indeed improved a lot, especially under Vegeta's suggestion, which is already different from before. But when Son Goku turned into Super 4, the gap between the two sides was still very large, and Uub intuitively knew that he was not an opponent. At this time, he recovered from the trance, and saw Kyoku not far in front of him, and slowly understood what was going on. "You guy." Uub was a little angry. "How do you know that Chiyoku was more angry than him?" "I see." Kyoku said suddenly, "Did you guy fight with me to protect the earth? It's the first time I have encountered a selfless guy." It turns out that this is the weakness of his illusion, which can only be amplified for human selfishness. "You can't beat me in front of you. Let's decide the outcome in one breath," Uub said with a cold face. "I thought that this little bit was nothing great, but it almost overturned. If it weren't for the energy control that had been cultivated in the mental timehouse for so long, it wouldn't have been possible to get out of the illusion." However, Kyoku didn't have the idea of continuing to fight with Uub. Seeing Uub getting serious and feeling the strength of his potential energy, Kyoku immediately exploded and flew away. The direction was Mapor's location. "Don't run." Uub also burst into anger, and immediately chased him. On the other side of the battlefield, Son Goten and Trunks were not killed after the big explosion, but their energy dropped a lot. They also noticed that even if they were still in their peak state and used Super 3, they were not Marple's opponents, so they didn't turn into Super 3 at this time, but chose Fusion decisively. Fusion. Super 3 Gotenks, here. Sorry for keeping you waiting, now you can start. The adult version of Super 3 Gotenks is not as impetuous as it was back then, but still unavoidably a little arrogant. "It's so surprised, I didn't expect that this world also has a fusion race. It's so funny, I'll be with you at any time," Marple said surprised, but his face was more excited. However, it is clear that Marple is not the opponent of the Super 3 Gotenks. After a year of training in the spiritual timehouse, Super 3 Gotenks' combat power has reached a height of 400 trillion, and even if Marple exploded with full strength, it would only be 250 trillion. There is a big gap between the two sides. Therefore, as soon as the fight was over, the situation went straight to the other side, and Marple was easily beaten. Continuous Super Donuts. Super 3 Gotenks hit Marple with 3 punches and 2 feet without resistance, and then released a circle of energy to restrain Marple. Go, Super Volleyball. Super 3 Gotenks held his hands together, the aperture was thrown into the sky, and then jumped high, smashed with both hands. Toy, attack. Boom. The aperture fell, and a huge deep hole was directly exploded across the ground, which was almost bottomless. Hee, perfect combo. Super Saiyan Gotenks rubbed his nose and made a victory gesture. As a result, just after finishing this action, a figure suddenly jumped out from the pit, and it was Marple. His image is very embarrassed, his body is full of body marks, his breath has dropped a lot, but he is still alive. It's so tenacious, you're still alive. Although Chaosong Gotenks was surprised, he didn't react too much. With his hands together, the palms of the palms were condensed with energy bombs. But, you can only stop here. Damn it. Whether you believe it or not, the difference in strength is too great, it's a miscalculation. However, I still have the last trump card. Maple did not show a scared expression, but was a little unwilling. Even if the energy bombs condensed by the Super 3 Gotenks at this time were enough to kill him, he did not panic, because he had already sensed. Maple. Kyoku flew over at a very fast speed. Ueb. The Super 3 Gotenks dissipated the energy bombs and looked at Ueb, who was chasing from behind, a little strange. Ueb said in a little embarrassment, I'm sorry, Gotenks, let him run away. He. You guys are pretty good, but it's impossible to beat us. Kyoku came to Maple, obviously calmer. It's no use bluffing anymore. Ueb didn't take this set. Maple was obviously slammed by Gotenks, and Kyoku was far from his opponent. How could the opponent struggle? Is it a bluff? I will tell you right away. Kyoku turned to Maple and yelled, Maple. Kyoku. Maple also yelled, placing his hand on Maple's chest, and the energy in the two of them exploded at the same time. Fit. The two screamed at the same time. The energy exploded frantically. The quantity change caused the qualitative change, and the two people also merged into one. No. Impossible. This guy will also fusion? Hateful. It was too late for Gotenks and Ueb to react. The other party had already completed the fusion, and the process was quite simple, not like them at all, and they had to take time to do a few fusion moves. After the fit, the fighter's breath exploded a lot, 10 times stronger than Maple, and the combat power reached 2,500 trillion. The Super 3 Gotenks are far from the opponent. The appearance of the opponent is mainly marble, but there are some traces of Chioku on his face, and the muscles have swelled a lot, which brings a lot of pressure to people. Let you wait a long time. This is our true face Chiomapur. I will show you the real power gap. Xiaofang, are we still there now? Blah looked at Xiaofang with a dull expression. Xiaofang also feels about to collapse. God is playing with them, right? Just rushed far away by the explosive energy, and finally came back, only to see the Super 3 Gotenks beating Maple. They did not have their performance at all. Now the fighting has stopped temporarily, but Mapur has merged with Kyoku to form Chi Mapur. This breath is obviously much stronger than Super 3 Gotenks. How does this make them play? Go. Why not go? Xiaofang gritted her teeth. After a year of hard work in the spiritual timehouse, I finally got a chance to perform. How could I get back ashamed after hitting soy sauce? Blah just looked at Xiaofang. The two looked at each other for a while, and Blah said, then what are you doing now? Why haven't you acted? Xiaofang lifted her foot, then retracted, and said stiffly, you go first, I'll warm up first, and by the way, I will put you in the back. Blah still looked at Xiaofang, expressionless. The warm-up of the gods, the ghosts, flew here from the celestial temple, and went back and forth several times. Isn't it enough to warm up? Bra's face clearly wrote, do you look like a fool? Xiaofang was embarrassed now, and she moved her gaze away while whistling, acting as if she didn't know anything. But soon she noticed Vegeta and Legusi on the hill in the distance, and her eyes lit up. Look, Sister Vegeta and Legusi are over there, let's go there too. Don't care about it here? That's not good. Blah hesitated. Of course she also wanted to go to Vegeta, but what happened here was, after all, the life and death of the earth. Xiaofang waved his hand and said, I think it's clear. In fact, Vegeta is right. With our current strength, we can't help much. Just call 666 next to them. Let them leave the battle. Gotenks haven't turned into Super 4s yet, so don't worry about them. Beulah pondered for a moment, and suddenly smiled. That's right, let's go over. Yeah. Xiaofang took Bra's hand, and the two flew together in the direction of Vegeta. In the distance, Vegeta and Laguz witnessed the situation of the two chicks all the way, and even their conversation could be heard clearly. Puff. Legusi was amused and giggled. Vegeta couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. These two girls are really interesting. Yeah, right? Master Vegeta is really interesting to them. Laguz laughed louder. Vegeta was a little confused. Did he mean that? Thinking about it carefully, even though it didn't mean that in the words, Laguz' words really couldn't be refuted. After all, men are always fraternity. Seeing beautiful girls, especially those beautiful girls exuding youthfulness, how can you be out of ideas? Although they are descendants of Son Goku and Vegeta, they seem to be related to Vegeta. However, the two parties are not in the same time and space, and they are not directly related. Furthermore, Vegeta is not the original Vegeta, and there is no obstacle in terms of blood relationship. That being the case, Vegeta, who has been promoted to this level of strength, would definitely no longer have any scruples if he really wanted to. Thinking of this, Vegeta also felt that perhaps he should take the initiative. Laguz on the side saw that Vegeta seemed really tempted, and couldn't help but smile knowingly. She did not regard herself as Vegeta's woman, nor did she have the idea of monopolizing Vegeta. Laguz just regarded herself as Vegeta's entourage, or even a servant. As long as Vegeta liked it, she would also like it. Of course, deep down in my heart, there is still some small envy for Xiaofang and Bra. In the battlefield, the situation reversed again, and the fit fighter Kiyomapur showed his strength a little bit. Under Yueb's shocked gaze, he beat the Super 3 Gotenks to the ground in 2s or 2s. Strength and speed have been greatly improved. A cold sweat hung on Yueb's face. Although he knew that Gotenks hadn't used his true power yet, Yueb couldn't help trembling when he sensed Chiyumapur's powerful aura. If Vegeta hadn't helped raise the strength of Gotenks, how would they deal with this disaster on Earth? I am afraid that Vegeta and Son Gohan can only interrupt their training and come back from the Supreme Kai world, right? It's just that if Vegeta and the others have not completed the Super 5 training, they are probably not Chiyumapur's opponents, right? I have been playing around with you for a long time, but I am still surprised. I just want to see how you go all out. Kiyomapur looked at the Super 3 Gotenks who fell into the ruins, with his hands on his chest, in a high posture. It seems that he didn't use this combined power at the beginning, just to enjoy the battle. Now, I'm tired of it, I want to end this battle, and I will get you free soon. Hearing Chiyumapur's words, Chaosong Gotenks got up from the ruins, his face expressionless. After spitting, he grinned. Then, I also use. The real strength is good. What are you talking about? Kiyomapur was slightly surprised. I originally wanted to use it against the evil dragon, but now I can't help it. Gotenks took out a small Boolean light-emitting device from his arms and threw it directly to Yueb not far away. Yueb, please. Understand. Yueb naturally knew what he was going to do. After all, when he was in the spiritual time house, he was with him during the whole process. Laugh. A beam of light shot from the device to Gotenks, and Gotenks' body changed instantly. Under the shocked gaze of Kiyomapur, Gotenks easily entered the Super 4 state. Hehe. This is my final trump card. Super 4 Gotenks grinned. Now, let's start the final round. The Super 4 Gotenks is very different from the previous Super 4s. His hair is bright red, his eyebrows and eye sockets are also bright red, and his eyeballs are blue. The body hair is dark red, the tail is dark red, and the waistcoat of the Midamar star on the upper body is also transformed into a Super 4, from dark gray to dark red. At this time, his combat strength was 5,000 trillion, which was exactly twice as powerful as Kiyomapur. However, Kiyomapur didn't seem to notice this. Although a little surprised, he still smiled confidently. Ooh, our combination has changed not only our appearance, but also strength. So in his opinion, Gotenks changed from Super 3 to Super 4, just a change in appearance. Super 4 Gotenks also said with a confident expression. There is a time limit for this transformation, I'm really sorry, this game has to be decided in an instant. The self-confidence on Chiyumapur's face was not pretended, he did not put the Super 4 Gotenks in his eyes. But no matter what he thinks about it, he would never think that the strength of Super 4 Gotenks unexpectedly surpassed him so much. Kiyomapur fought with Super 4 Gotenks with a confident expression on his face, but was immediately suppressed, and he was beaten with 3 punches and 2 kicks to doubt his life. After Gotenks turned into Super 4, his power was too great. Once he started fighting, he would greatly reduce the fusion time, so he didn't play around, he broke out with all his strength from the beginning. Burning, Kamehameha wave. After a giant Kamehameha, Kiyomapur has no scum left. So, the battle ended in this way, like a horror. It was not that Kiyomapur was too expensive, but under the influence of Vegeta, the warriors who guarded the earth became stronger and completed the task of guarding the earth with ease. It worked. We did it, Gotenks. Yueb jumped up happily. Although he didn't play a big role in this battle, Gotenks was able to successfully transform into Super Saiyan IV, and his credit was also considerable. Haha. Gotenks felt the fruits of his practice and was equally happy. It's just that Super 4's combat effectiveness is really strong, and unfortunately it consumes a lot of money. After only a short while, their physical strength has reached the limit, and they will soon be re-decomposed into Son Goten and Trunks. Trunks said, Goten, I feel that in the previous battle, my body is not very adaptable. This may be the reason why Super Saiyan's 4th transformation lasts for a short time. We now have to consider the issue of improving the basic combat effectiveness in the recovery of physical strength. So we continue. After that, we have to continue to cultivate the foundation. Son Goten nodded and said, I also felt it. Master Vegeta really has the foresight, and he was right to let us practice energy control. After all, it is our father's fit warrior. He has higher talent and stronger power than our father, so there is absolutely nothing wrong with what he said. Trunks was very thankful. Fortunately, Vegeta came to their time and space. Otherwise, if they were to cultivate on their own, even if they could barely cultivate Super 4 Gotenks, their combat power would definitely be far inferior to what they are now. However, their fusion has a time limit and cannot be directly crushed. The final result is a loss. Master Vegeta, they are over there, let's go over. Uub discovered Vegeta in them first. When the three of them flew over, their minds were a bit complicated, and they really didn't know what to say. Legoussi used the ability to generate glass to make a few chairs, and all of them sat there with a pretty face. Besides, Beulah carried a lot of food with him, all of which were stored in convenience capsules, and they were all taken out at this time. She had been patronizing cultivation in the spiritual time house before, but it was only when she arrived here that she remembered it. Therefore, in addition to the glass chair, there is also a glass table, which is filled with various food and drinks. So, when Gotenks and Uub were fighting for the Earth, how many people from Vegeta sat here on a picnic? I really don't know what to tell Trunks. Good job, brother. Beulah threw a can of drinks to Trunks, and then said to Son Goten and Uub, as a reward for protecting the Earth, you can take whatever you want to eat. Xiaofeng also rewarded Son Goten with a can of drinks, learning Bra's tone and said, good job, Uncle Goten, this is for you. Lagus thought it was funny, and also threw a can of drink to the last Uub. Trunks and others can only want to smile wryly. What else can they say? It can only be said that Master Vegeta is cheating. At this moment, Vegeta was sitting on a recliner that could rock back and forth, and people took the initiative to bring food to his lips. It was so cozy and cozy, they were jealous when they saw Trunks. Sometimes people are really incomparable. Master Vegeta. The big thing is not good. At this time, Dend, who was far away in the Temple of Heaven, suddenly heard a voice. After scanning Vegeta's mind, he quickly understood the reason. The 7 Dragon Ball, which was placed in the depths of the Celestial Temple, had many cracks at this time, and was releasing an unknown evil aura. Because of the arrival of Marple and the others, has the 7 Dragon Ball absorbed a lot of negative energy. Vegeta figured out the reason all at once. When the people present heard these words, combined with Den's urgent and eager tone, they suddenly changed their colors. Den hurriedly said, Master Vegeta, do you already know it? What are we going to do now? Vegeta put away the food and everything, and then teleported to the Celestial Temple with everyone. Don't worry, you should know more about the situation of 7 Dragon Ball than I do. I want to ask, what is the situation of Goku now? When will the evil dragon appear? Oh, okay. Vegeta's tone calmed Den a bit, and explained in detail. In these 3 years, Mr. Goku has been using his positive energy to suppress the negative energy of the 7 Dragon Balls. The negative energy spilled that year has been controlled. However, the evil energy is stronger than expected. Mr. Goku's physical strength seems to be at its limit. And as Mr. Vegeta just said, due to the arrival of the Demon King Marple, the 7 Dragon Ball has absorbed a lot of negative energy. The balance is completely broken. Maybe Mr. Goku can't hold it anymore. I think there should be about 3 days left. How could this happen, Dad? Son Goten looked incredulous. For him, Son Goku is almost omnipotent, but he lost to mere negative energy? Den said. In 3 days, Mr. Goku will be completely occupied by evil forces, and the seal of the evil dragon will be unlocked again. Vegeta nodded clearly and said, 3 days. So you must take the initiative to unlock the seal before then, otherwise Goku will be in danger. After speaking, he looked at Trunks and Son Goten. You still have 1 day to enter the spiritual time house. It's up to you to decide. But I don't have much to teach you anymore. If you want to go in, just continue to practice with the previous method. Of course, my opinion is that it is better for you to successfully practice Super Saiyan IV, so that it will be safer. Since Vegeta made his comments, Trunks and the others would certainly not refute them, so the 3 of them took advantage of 1 day to enter the spiritual time house again. Dend. Inform the Supreme Kai world of this news. Regardless of the results of the practice, they must come back the day after tomorrow. After Vegeta finished speaking, he took the 3 girls and left the Temple of Heaven. Naturally, Vegeta would not take the evil dragon to heart, and his mission in this time and space was basically over, and he could actually leave at any time if he wanted to leave. The reason why they are still here is not because they can't worry about it. After all, Son Goku and the others have the protagonist's aura. However, he decided to wait for Son Gohan and the others to finish fighting the evil dragon before leaving. Anyway, he had to confirm Son Goku's situation. Moreover, it would be better if you could see the Super 5 Vegeta, maybe there will be unexpected gains. Veget's current strength has almost risen to the limit. In addition to the force that has been suppressed by gravity, even if he concentrates on tempering his normal combat power, the effect may not be too great. The only way he can improve his strength now is to increase his energy fusion to 100%. But it's strange to say that until now the energy fusion degree is still stuck at 99.9%. He is now able to transform into a Super 5, even his emotional control has almost reached a perfect state, and he has fully comprehended the rules of the universe in the seed of the universe. In other words, he now has the means to resist Zeno's elimination ability, which he calls the blocking rule. That's right, it's shielding. If the creatures of universe are all recorded by universe, it is like adding an account. Zeno is in control of this account book, and his ability to eliminate is to erase the other party from the account book, so the person who is erased will disappear in the universe. The shielding rule that Veget later comprehend, as the name suggests, is to shield his own existence from the account book. It is not to break away from the account book, nor to take the name from Zeno, but to let Zeno not find Veget's name on the account book. Vegeta has a faint feeling that if he can complete the energy fusion, perhaps he can achieve real detachment. The dimension is above the 12 universe, and he can survive here without relying on the universe. He didn't know if he had surpassed Zeno to that extent, but he was at the same level no matter how bad he was. But even though his current strength has reached its peak limit, he still doesn't know how to complete the final 0.1% energy fusion. Of course, he just didn't worry. Anyway, Zeno can't erase him now, and with his current strength, although he has never fought, he knows that it is more than enough to contend with the Grand Priest. Therefore, he doesn't worry about threatening his existence in the Dragon Ball world. Just pay more attention to some abilities that you don't understand, and maybe you can find the possibility of completing the energy fusion. In the following time, Veget almost lived the life of an emperor. The resources of Bulma's house are left to him, and there is always a group of little beauties around him. Although I can see and cannot eat for the time being, it is also extremely cozy. Another thing that surprised Veget was that Xiaofang and Bray persuaded their mother to agree to let them go with Veget when he left, saying that they wanted to see a higher dimension. Veget didn't care about these things, and he had two little beauties with him. Of course he was very happy. Later, what surprised him even more was that after hearing about it, on the 18th, her daughter Marlin was also stuffed over. This gave Veget the illusion that he was returning to his hometown, and the poor relatives in the family shoved his children over and brought him into the city. But it doesn't matter. 2 belts are belts, and 3 belts are belts. It's just that Marin is just the physique of an ordinary Earth person, and he has not practiced. He is completely ordinary. I really don't know why Marin should follow him on the 18th. Time flickered while Veget was dealing with these trivial matters, and soon it was time to gather. Trunks, Son Goten, and Ueb have come out of the spiritual timehouse, and the 3 trends have undergone some changes. Judging from their confident expressions, Trunks and Son Goten have completed the Super 4 training in all likelihood. Son Gohan and Vegeta also returned, and they both completed the Super 5 cultivation, because when they finished their cultivation, their breath exploded, and people far away on the earth could sense that breath. At this time, Son Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, Son Goten, and Ueb are fully prepared. The 5 of them will be the main force to deal with the evil dragon this time. Vegeta, Laguz, Xiaofang, Bra, and a new member Marlin who was added in the back. The few people did not get to the front, just waiting for the show not far away. Xiaofang actually wanted to show it, but it's a pity that she and Son Gohan and others are not at the same level at all. The inclusion of the obstacles is not very helpful, and in the end, she can only bear it. Come out Shenron, please help me realize my wish. After making all preparations, Son Gohan stood in front of 7 Dragon Ball and shouted. Black smoke sprayed out from the cracks in the 7 Dragon Balls, and quickly condensed into a thicker Shenron than ever before, dark blue all over. As soon as Shenron appeared, he immediately vomited Son Goku out of his mouth. It's Dad. Son Gohan and the others were shocked and immediately brought Son Goku back. After Son Gohan checked, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Great, I'm still alive. Finally liberated. Son Goku, you are really getting in the way. You bastards, this time is your end. I will show you what hell is." The dark blue Shenron releases an extremely strong atmosphere of evil. You may realize that your threat is that my ability has improved. Come on. I haven't been free to go crazy for a long time. After speaking, Shenron immediately transformed into 7 rays of light. Each of the 7 rays of light transformed into small dragons of different shapes, flying from all directions to all parts of the earth. From the beginning to the end, they didn't notice Veget, they just left with such a stab at it. This energy breath has reached the level of gods of destruction, but it weakened after being dispersed. It seems that the existence of this evil dragon is only for destruction. Veget rubbed his chin. He has already seen the essence of the evil dragon. If Vegeta is willing, he can destroy the evil dragon in an instant, and then use the power of the rules to restore the 7 Dragon Balls to their original state. But he didn't do that, not because the old Supreme Kai said that the gods of destruction can't intervene in non-temporal disruptors at will. Rather, he thinks that the strength of the only gods of destruction level, with Son Gohan in their current level, is just right, and the battle will definitely be quite exciting. Supreme Kai, send the crystal ball here, it's the same for fighting. After Vegeta transmitted the voice to Supreme Kai, and under the silent gaze of Son Gohan, Lagus, Bra and the others arranged the surroundings into a small banquet. Vegeta's behavior like this is really speechless, but even the old Supreme Kai didn't dare to make complaints easily. He obediently asked God Jebet to bring the crystal ball to the Earth Temple. In order to watch the battle better, he himself came along with him. In fact, before Son Gohan and Vegeta returned from practicing, they had already made plans for the future in the Supreme Kai community. If the last thing is out of control, Vegeta is their only reliance. So before that, of course they are trying to make Vegeta please. Mr. Goku. God Jebet saw Son Goku with a look of excitement. Son Gohan has fed Son Goku fairy beans, but Son Goku did not wake up directly. After checking it again, Son Gohan said, although there is still breathing, the chi is quite weak, and I can hardly feel the vitality. God Jebet said, this is not surprising, because during these 3 years, he has continued to purify negative energy. First of all, let Mr. Goku stay here to recuperate. Please follow the plan. Now I will send you to your respective places. After God Jebet finished speaking, he passed Son Gohan and the others one by one using instant transmission. They found 5 places in advance, all of which are relatively sturdy unmanned planets in the universe: Son Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, Son Goten, Ueb, 5 people in one battlefield. After that, Jebetus used the Dragon Ball radar to teleport the 7 evil dragons to the 5 battlefields one by one, and Son Gohan and the others were responsible for destroying them separately. Son Gohan and Vegeta are the strongest, and they have to deal with 2 evil dragons. The advantage of this is that it will not cause damage to the Earth after the fighting breaks out. Separately destroying the evil dragons can also avoid the last time Omega Shenron absorbs the other 6 Dragon Balls that have been purified, and becomes a Super Omega Shenron. In the end, Jebite can only transmit one by one, and there is a difference in order. The person who has dealt with the evil dragon first will be able to support those behind. It's a little laborious to look at it this way. Vegeta glanced at the crystal ball of the old Supreme Kai. Although the picture presented in it was clear, the picture was too small, far inferior to the 3-dimensional effect of Angel's staff. In fact, Vegeta himself can perceive the battlefield with his spiritual thoughts, but although doing so has a clearer perception, it is more laborious than watching a crystal ball. After pondering for a while, he waved his big hand, and the power of the rules surged, and the picture presented on the crystal ball suddenly appeared in the air with a 3-dimensional effect. 360 degrees without dead ends, perfect. Vegeta snapped his fingers and nodded in satisfaction. Although this effect is still not as good as Angel's staff, it is almost the same. It's amazing. Xiaofang immediately exclaimed, and then pestered Vegeta and said, Vegeta, how did you do it? Can this ability teach me? She thought that Vegeta would simply present the distant pictures in 3 dimensions. If she also had this ability, she could easily do it wherever she wanted to in the future. What do you want? Vegeta squeezed her little Chong nose and smiled. I only strengthened the crystal ball's ability, but only with my energy. Of course, if Vegeta studies it carefully, he can achieve the level of Angel's staff. However, as mentioned before, this kind of unnecessary ability is best not to study too much, otherwise it will affect the progress of the cultivation. Although Vegeta's current level is reached, the interference is not big anymore. But after all, the energy fusion has not been completed 100%, as long as there is a little bit to increase the difficulty of completion, Vegeta must carefully consider it. Anyway, Vados usually followed, he really didn't need to study this kind of ability on his own. That's it. A hint of disappointment flashed in Xiaofang's eyes. Does this ability seem very convenient? Can't even learn. You. Vegeta smiled and said, the most important thing for you now is to improve your strength. Isn't your goal to go to many places to take risks? With your current strength, there are many places you can go. Limited. Xiaofang, who is in a super uniform state, has a combat power of only 5 billion, which is still far from the level of the man-made period. Got it. Xiaofang suddenly looked ashamed. At this time, 7 evil dragons had been destroyed everywhere on the earth, and the first god Jebet found was Rage Shenron. No, to be precise, it should be called Super Rage Shenron. These evil dragons are much stronger than those in the GT era, and none of them are simple. Since it was the first one to be found, Super Rage Shenron had just stepped into a human city and was about to go crazy, but was brought to Sun Goten by an instant transmission of Jebet God. Where is this place? My body has become a little heavier inexplicably. Super Rage Shenron looked at the greatly changed environment around him, a little confused for a while. God Jebet was behind him, teleporting with him, so Super Rage Shenron didn't find out, and God Jebet left soon. You are my opponent? Behind Super Rage Shenron, the person standing at this time is Sun Goten. Who are you? Chao Rage Shenron still didn't react, and seemed a little natural. It's 5 stars. Sun Goten looked at the Dragon Ball inlaid on Super Rage Shenron's forehead, and said with a calm face, Are you Rage Shenron? Just knock you down here, I won't let you do whatever you want. Super Rage Shenron's focus is not here at all, but said, I am thinking about how to make humans feel miserable. Don't hinder me. It's a pity, you have no chance. Sun Goten grinned, and then asked. I remember that evil dragons are all negative energy born after we made a wish. When did you breed? My uncle was born when you made a wish to resurrect the human beings killed by the cyborg cell. Chao Rage Shenron mentioned that this is quite proud, but I don't know what he is proud of. Robot? I see. Okay, that's the end of the gossip. Do you want to start right away? Sun Goten took a fighting pose. What an arrogant guy. I'm Super Rage Shenron and kill you right away. Super Rage Shenron didn't take Sun Goten seriously. Sun Goten took the initiative to attack, and the two of them fought together in an instant. Earth Temple. Through the picture projected by the crystal ball, everyone sees all these things in their eyes. This evil dragon is nothing great. Xiaofang took a bite of the chicken leg. At this moment, she was sitting directly on Veget's thigh, acting quite dependent on Veget. Not to be outdone, Beulah grabbed another thigh, gnawing a chicken leg in his mouth as well. Hearing Xiaofang's words, Blah also agreed and nodded. Goten can beat him up and down with just normalcy, then we should be able to beat him by transforming into Super One.